Now the question is, can they do it further forward? North Macedonian side, of course, as per se. Want to say a guy with the lovely MJ. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, I'm quite excited about this one, to be honest. It's kind of one of those matches where you always expect Endpoint to win it, but I've seen a million times. I've been doing these Pinnacle series since they began, Kai, so I'm like an old man. And in that time, there's been tons and tons of upsets, tons of matches that haven't gone the way you expect them to. And I'm really open-minded at the moment. I think anything can happen there.
Exactly that. I mean, it's one of those sort of situations where it could go both ways. Yes, on paper, Endpoint are the favourites, ever so slightly. It's not by a large margin, especially when you look at them in terms of stats, right? I mean, BLUEJAYS 41st in the World Cup, it's 37. There's not a lot in it, and their recent results have been very, very similar per se. And of course, competing, trying to go for the RMRs, trying to get for qualification towards the major, etc., etc. Both these two sides, actually, relatively over a decent standpoint. They've had their highs, latter part of 2021, early part of 2022, but they have dropped off a little bit. And now they're starting to rise back up into form. And the question is now, kind of a win here, pushing further in towards the Pinnacle series. That's where you can start to find that form again.
Yeah, I mean, the big question, are we going to see Endpoint at the major? Are we going to have a little bit of UK pride at the major?
That is the big question, especially now that, Fnatic are no longer a UK side.
Yeah.
We've lost them. They were like our one hope to be UK at the major. So we do need an Endpoint kind of to push the way forward. And of course, as mentioned, these sort of games where you get that experience under your belt, the upper echelon of tier 2 gives you experience pushing then, of course, into tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I think about it, Endpoint are just as UK as Fnatic at the moment, isn't it? With the UK players, but we'll take it. We'll take what we can get. We haven't had anyone there in a while. But yeah, of course, looking about this Endpoint roster, we've got Mighty Max, Surreal, Crucial, Thomas actually playing today, so there are 3 UK players here, and Nuts as well. So a very, very strong roster. That's Boros isn't here today, which is a bit of a shame. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but it doesn't really matter. Thomas is very, very familiar with this roster. I think when Thomas comes and stands in for Endpoint, it's very different to just having some random stand-in that comes and just slots in for the day. Thomas has played with this roster for literally years. He knows the ins and outs. He knows his role very well within this team, even though he's not a full-time part of it. So yeah, it really shouldn't be too much of a contingency for them.
No, not at all. I mean, Thomas is the plus Thomas, minus Thomas has been the story of Endpoint and their relationship as a player and organization. And one of the things, as you mentioned, he knows his team so well. The cohesion is such a big factor for Endpoint. But of course, the other side of the thing is losing Boros today is a bit of a question mark. He makes a lot of space. He's the entry fragger, the hard entry fragger at that. Big in terms of the frags on the board. And of course, when Endpoint do struggle to find those opening kills, that's when they lack a little bit of favour in sort of those early to mid rounds. Of course, then we take it on BLUEJAYS, a side who, as we mentioned, came out of nowhere, started to find a lot of form. Kicksan, Danny, Styles, 8kit, and Castanita. And of course, Castanita has to be someone we keep an eye on today. Consistently a top fragger.
Yeah, I like these. I like these jerseys.
The little egg.
Yeah, the little egg with the little bird poking out. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, these guys have been around the scene for a long time. BLUEJAYS haven't necessarily been at this caliber in these kind of tournaments, to be honest. I'm actually super surprised that they've made it this far. It's been like a really, really good run from them. Now they've got to prove that they can take it that next step. They can push it further into these playoffs and show that they can beat some of the best in the West. Now, I was actually talking to someone about Boros yesterday, and I don't want to sort of drag on with this, but when he first came into Endpoint, it was a little bit slow to get started. Now he's been a really, really high impact player, and you're absolutely right. It's a big loss to not have him today. Into these vetoes, Nuke and Inferno banned out first. Mirage and Dust 2 picked. That's BLUEJAYS pick of Mirage. Endpoint going into Dust 2, and then Vertigo is the decider. I love a bit of Vertigo, but I don't know if we'll end up there. We'll see if Endpoint can get it done in 2.
Yeah, Mirage, I think, is quite an interesting pick as well from BLUEJAYS. It's a sort of somewhat risky pick because we all, as we know, kind of in the UK scene, it's a big favour for Endpoint. They do like picking into Mirage themselves. They're sort of partial to it, so they're more than happy to step that way. Then we see the hard counter pick of Dust 2. It's a map for BLUEJAYS which they don't really fancy at all. It's one of their least played maps. If I'm right, it might even be their least played map. So, kind of in this sense, Endpoint have gone for that counter strat. They go for that hard pick against. They know BLUEJAYS aren't confident on it. And then when we get towards Vertigo, back again, it's a map which both teams, they don't favour it, but they don't mind it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, BLUEJAYS I do actually quite like Vertigo. I think if they can take it to that third map, they're being quite not a comfortable position, but they'll feel better than they will do on Dust 2 for sure. But it means that they have to win Mirage. That's like a really, really big staple right now going into this first map. They need to start, they need to take that first map, and if they don't, then I think they're in trouble. I think we will see a 2-0 Endpoint. But yeah, right now looking at it, Endpoint do really like Mirage. They've got a fantastic win rate there, and that's against some really top tier teams as well. You've got to remember, like, other context when you're looking at previous matchups and whatnot. Blue Jays do play in a lot of lower tier leagues, a lot of lower tier events and stuff, and their wins, okay, there are some wins against some strong sides as well, but just kind of like across the board, they are used to playing against a slightly lower caliber of opponent, so it's something to sort of take into account.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I think Mirage is definitely that win factor, isn't it? If we're going to sort of chalk up this entire series as a one meeting point, it realistically has to be Mirage. Last time these two sides met on Mirage as well, at 16-14 in favour of Endpoint. Granted, that was months ago, back in October 21. So, you know, a lot of changes since then, but as we know, a map which both sides more than happy to pick into, and that does become the win factor, I think, for me. I think that would decide this series to a degree. If Blue Jays aren't able to pick up their own pick on Mirage, I think realistically speaking, they're going to very much struggle in Dust 2. It's unlikely they come on top on Dust 2, and it does make all the more uncomfortable. But we're right into the action already. Blue Jays starting on the T side, of course. Endpoint on the CT side, and those odds very much sitting in favor of Endpoint, as we say. Popping on towards the A side. Snurt's going to hold down from Underwood, but if they get Nurse one apiece, look, it's making a second, not going to be able to connect, but Crucial comes in for support. They've gone for the jungle wrap, but this has been a shutdown over towards A. 3 remain alive on both sides as the P250 reigns supreme.
Well, not a bad little start for Blue Jays. It was looking a bit shoddy when they pushed out, lost 2 men instantly, but they've recovered it nicely, got those trades. Now the man advantage, so we'll go back towards CT with that kit, but he has to stay alive. If he drops here, then it's all over. And it all falls onto Mighty Max. Other side of the map, I think Blue Jays have got this done.
That jungle wrap was really smart as well. They've got a lot of control, and of course, all the sound cues here. Mighty Max should be falling more or less momentarily. I say this. There we go. I was waiting for that to happen. After the shots weren't taken immediately, Castanita was doing exactly that. We said keep an eye out for him, and that's why. Knife in the back, and of course, that's a lot of money in the bank.
Yeah, got to be a bit more aware than that. And actually, I somewhat retract my statement that I said earlier about that lower caliber of opponent. Blue Jays seem to actually be superstars on this map. Looking at some of the teams they've taken down, just literally in the last 2 months kind of thing. They've beaten Tropic, Dignitas, wins against One Win, Copenhagen Flames. These are some really, really top level teams. So
sure,
anything could really happen here, especially taking this 1-0 lead. Now they're against the Pistols. They could get off to a good start, get that ball rolling.
No, it's gone for the scout pick as well. That's one of the things we do like to see about this new Endpoint roster. They have the sort of versatility when it comes to the players. They can go for that double orb setup late game if they want to. Of course, we know like so Crucial and Surreal, if they partial, can pick one up. Aggressive down here, Boros going for a little bit of peek. We sort of didn't expect to see him, and of course here he is. Spamming forward though, gonna find himself the opener. Danny's gonna fall. Will he be able to stay alive? Just about, but that's gonna be his teeth, but A-Kit punishes. Nurse finds one with the scout. Make a second with a pistol as well. Closing them down one by one, leaving it all down to one man stars and 1 versus 3 here to keep the dream alive and deny Endpoint at first.
Boris was here instead of Thomas, but it's a nice little surprise. Just, oh, there he is. Oh, and there's a kill as well. Yeah, not the round that I was expecting, I'll be perfectly honest. But Nuts has just gone stellar with that scout, and Styles not in a strong position at all. They know exactly where it's to bomb in no man's land. I think the call here has got to be to just try and save that AK-47. Sure. If Endpoint are foolish enough to feed him the kills and peek into him, then he might have a chance, but I don't think that's going to happen.
They're too sort of well drilled, aren't they? They're not going to be in those sort of easy punishment leagues. Not going to give them those 1 versus 1s. They're just waiting, holding. The crossfire is going to be set up. The rotation's coming through as well. Nurse just needs to be careful. We'll be caught off guard. Information gained now. The question is, what does he do with it? Flashbang in towards ramp. 15 seconds on the clock. Not a lot of time to work with there. And they're going to double stack. I'm going to try and cut off that rotation, trying to make his way back onto the side. And there, exactly that. AK's collected. First run on the board for Endpoint. They tied things up.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. As far as second rounds go, they've played that one quite nicely. Read their opponents like a book, and now it's Blue Jays' turn to go for a shoddy deagle by a few pistols here and there, 2 smoke grenades. I'm not sure what the game plan is right here, but they don't have the utility to go for anything too surprising. Looks like they're going to be leaning over towards mid and B. Low stuff, though. Standard default. Yeah. See if they can pick any heads with those deagles.
In close, Boris. Back gonna give him the entry. Easy pickings. Lovely stuff. Kicks out of 4. I don't think he was even flashed by it, but it does not matter. Boris too quick, and of course the firepower makes all the difference. Crucial. Holds above the smoke. Bomb still dropped deep mid. They've got a little bit of mid control here, but it's a loose turn for the Blue Jays. It's one Deagle. Pushed his way forward, and I don't think he's gonna be able to do too much with it.
Yeah, I mean, Endpoint just not really contesting it, are they? Without that AWP,
Sure.
they're not interested in mid. Crucial's just going to sit behind the smoke with the AK for anyone that wants to aggress further. I think he's about to find himself... Ooh, takes a lot of damage, but does get away with the kill. Yeah, Endpoint are playing this super disciplined. I love this.
They don't need to overextend, do they, right? I mean, they know they're coming in with a significantly better firepower, and they're playing this very smart. You've hit the nail on the head with it. It's very, very simplistic. Not aggressing. They don't need to take mid-control because they know even with it, there's not too much Blue Jays can do. They do find one as a consolation. Looking for a second, not going to be given the chance. Nerds. Another one to what is so far already quite the impressive tally. 6 and 2 he stands, and 2 on the board is what Endpoint find.
Yeah, I mean, half his kills came on that second round with that scout, but
yeah,
only 3 rounds in. So yeah, he's having a great time. He's really having a great time. Eco time for Blue Jays, I suppose. Not much being invested here at all. A smoke grenade, a flash. Is anyone going to go for some pistols? There we go. P250 comes out. I don't think we'll see too much damage with it. And I'm surprised they're just going for this kind of standard CS again. Like, just with these pistols, I'd expect them to just bomb it out with the Glocks. Instead, they're still playing relatively slow, going for a bit of a smoke towards top con, trying to take mid. I suppose they could get up short here. I doubted it. There you go. Bloodbath.
Yeah, and it should be. In this sort of aggressive pushing towards mid, they're not going to be able to find too much. It's a flawless round. Really easily played there by the Endpoint side. 2-round lead they take, and, well, so far so good from the quote-unquote UK side of, well, the UK org, we can call them. We can still have our slight UK bias, but a decent start, right? 3-1. They returned that sort of forced buy in that second round. This really turned the tides, and now on CT, the starters are getting a lot of momentum.
Oh, AK-47's out. Still, I don't see an AWP anywhere here on the server, although Endpoint could afford one. Oh, beautiful. I love it. I love the balls to go for that short jump, and when it actually works out as well. Thinking, how did he get there that far? What a start for Endpoint. 3 already. My goodness.
It's comfortable CS, isn't it? Really. No, it's in for the trade on towards Casanito, and, well, kicks are not even given a chance. Brilliant round there from Endpoint. Pinnacle from the start to finish. Short jump comes through, wins out that fight. It was a little bit of a mess at the start, both jumping into the action, but Endpoint going on top, take them an advantage, and then that double easily taken there from the jungle hold, and a quick trade coming forward from there to close it down 4-1. It's a really comfortable start, and again now for the Blue Jays side, it's back to an eco.
It's starting to feel a little bit one-sided after we saw that pistol. I had higher hopes for Blue Jay, but that buy round was certainly disappointing. Short jump again, doesn't work out this time, but it doesn't matter. They're against pistols, they should just be able to pick heads, and Boros does it first.
Yeah, comfortable. Easy stuff. Molotov in to force them back in that palace position. AK in close, but eagle in hand. What we are seeing, though, from the Blue Jays side, is, as we sort of mentioned earlier, even when they do have a low buy, they're not kind of going for that aggressive push coming in. They're not trying to sort of just bomb rush out of palace. They're very methodical in the way they like to do things. And, of course, an AK collected could potentially turn the tides a little bit. Couple of steps made. No, just need to be careful. Was a little bit open, but looking for that ramp aggression. Oh, crucial holding. Spots the boost. One more in towards jungle. Not going to give him the fight, but a nade could cause problems. And it will. Down he falls. Casanito drops. And it's down to just 2. What can they find? Not a lot. A Surreal and Nerds close this one down to make a 5th round on the board for Endpoint. It looks like potential for Blue Jays immediately put to rest.
Wow, that was really well played from Crucial in that scenario. Not to try and go for some crazy swing, just do some damage, get that nade in. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, it feels like every single time Blue Jays have been on an eco, as you say, they've been going for these really, really slow plays. It's not worked out for them at all. They find like 1 kill here or there in those eco or 4-5 rounds, but they haven't had any success whatsoever. It feels like they haven't been actually on the bomb site since this round. They haven't had a chance to get that C4 down at all. They've kind of just been kept at arm's length. AK's out once again, still no AWP. Decent amount of util though to work with. I want to see something more from them here. The last buy round was very disappointing. Let's see what they can do.
Slow. So far from the Blue Jays side. They're posturing slowly over towards this B position, smoke in place, but a deep nade going to come forward, not going to cause damage towards Styles, just behind the wall. I think they're getting a bit of an inkling now, Endpoint. Rotation's being called, they're double stacking over towards this B site, and actually rotating over towards Shore. Maybe they're sort of wary of this mid push coming forward, but they do need to be careful. Blue Jays playing things very, very slow, but again, that lack of control of the bomb sites, leaving a lot up to chance. Styles finds the opener. Mighty Max will fall, and that's that man advantage the T-side have been looking for. Now, can they do anything with it? Surreal going to be forced back into a short.
Oh, Surreal. Movement Styles is so low, he's trying to tap at his head, he just can't fall. Eventually falls, and that's crumples under the pressure. Surreal has to do something there, he just can't. And Boss left on his own, 1v3. I don't think this is going to happen, even with Styles on 1 HP.
They know where he is as well, A-Kit. Flank waiting for it. Running going to give it to chance. Styles gives Blue Jays their second round, and that's a much better play from them. They find their opening kill, then they just go aggressive. A B-split comes forward. It's very methodical in the way they like to set up in towards rounds. Bit of utility, but they rely on the aim heavily, and of course it works in their favor. Now only 3 rounds behind, it starts to become doable once again.
Oh, of course, AWP out now as well. I mean, it's not too far gone, yeah. Even though Endpoint were looking like their dominant side, they were 5-1 up. It's very, very recoverable. It's like 2 buy rounds. The Endpoint economy isn't crazy right now. They've got a decent amount of money to reinvest, even if they lose this one. But it can break very quickly. We've seen it plenty of times. Nerds trying to play around this smoke. Nice little gap in it. One bastard, no, and he doesn't realise. Huge mistake made, and it costs them that man advantage.
That could have been something that could work well in their favour. A slight little gap as well could have been a difference maker, but it gets spotted now. That's unfortunate. Now connector control in favour of Blue Jays. Question is what do they want to do with it? Once again, looking like they're posturing over towards this B position. A bit of a split going to come in, it seems. There's a bomb. Just slowly maneuvering its way back from mid. A control completely in their favour. And in this sounds as well, Endpoint, they've completely given up control over B, essentially. They've got one player over towards Marky kind of rotating in, but if he loses control, a bit of utility, it should just be a safe call.
Yeah, sometimes when you're at the top of the scoreboard, when you've got that confidence can ever so slightly ease into foolishness, and you can go for some of those peaks that maybe weren't necessarily needed. That tiny gap in that smoke really did cost Nerds, and now they're a man down. They've completely given up the B site control. Mighty Max is just playing this retake style, but there you go. Now that it's lost, I really don't know if they're going to try and commit to this retake. I think it's probably just going to be a hard save.
I think it has to be, surely. They've lost control. They kind of went for a bit of a gamble stack over towards A. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in their favour, and yeah, they just have to say what they got. They need to be careful of Kicksan, though. He could catch one in transition, just exactly like that. Crucial going to fall, and causing even further damage to the Endpoint side, who are now being aggressive. I mean, they don't need to go hunting, technically speaking, the T side, but they can make a real problem in their favour. That orb falling is not the position you want to be in at all. Blue Jays, third on the board, and of course, as we mentioned, they've taken out some pretty notable sides, haven't they, when it comes towards how they've played on Mirage. Even though we said it's a map of which Endpoint are pretty good at themselves, this should be a bit of a bloodbath. The question is now, what do Endpoint do to counter it? Their B site being a bit of a weakness. How do they now plug that gap?
Got to try and retrieve this orb. Oh, doesn't quite go into Kaiser's sight line. Well, a very, very good round from Blue Jays. Again, I like that a lot. I mean, Endpoint, as you say, they went for a bit of a gamble there. I think Blue Jays came up lucky that they did head over towards B, but it was still a nice read on the situation. They found that first kill well in mid as well, and they're utilizing mid very, very well indeed. Now Crucial's got that AWP. I want to see if he can do something more impactful here on mid. It feels like Endpoint have just been kind of giving it up every round. They've not wanted to fight it at all. This time Blue Jays don't want control either. Instead, presence towards the B apartment.
Well, you saw those Pinnacle odds as well. I mean, they're still very much in favour of Endpoint, but I think Blue Jays are starting to play this really well. Once again, going over towards B, that's a D-Nade going to come in, though. The Empoioness of Mighty Max not able to connect either, and now this becomes uncomfortable. A surreal fall, so does the round. It's an early save goal, surely, for Endpoint. Now, there's no control. Yeah, they're slinking back over towards A. They've got no control. Once again, the B site, their weakness, and it's proving very costly.
Yeah, I think Blue Jays have started to realise it. Blue's that... Blue? B's that Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Blue. There's too many blues. The CTs are blue. The Blue Jays are called Blue Jays. It's too confusing. Oh my goodness. It's not even a save anymore. It's just Boros left. The AWP can't be carried across. I think they'll still have enough money with that 4-round loss bonus plus the cash they've got in the bank. They'll definitely have enough for a buy in the next. But yeah, they're crumbling. Those odds, okay, they were still in Endpoint's favor, but as this scoreline closes up, they'll definitely start to even out. And you've got to remember they're the series odds, yeah? I still do favour Endpoint in this series, but it does become more complicated if they lose this first map, and look at that.
Yeah, that's what you like. One of those things as well is, as you mentioned, I still do favour Endpoint in the series, but a much better sort of resurgence coming forward now from the Blue Jays side. As we mentioned, that B side, they've realised it's a weakness coming in, and they're consistently exposing those gaps. And the second Endpoint lose a man advantage, they really lack that distinct control, don't they? We've seen it time and time again. They look a little bit flustered, and they're kind of forced into early save calls because of that, well, once again, as we mentioned, lack of control.
Short jump again, and
brilliant.
Kakanito completely oblivious. I'm not sure if he was the one that was caught out last time for it, but it catches him out time and time again. This time they're trying to play a little more aggressive here towards the apartments. Of course, they've got that second AWP on Surreal. They know that B's been a weak spot. Nertz's position is huge. Look at this.
I like this.
What a setup.
Unfortunately, that's not going to work. Swinging into Ward. Oh, I thought it was way the worst time. But his gun barrel could have been spotted. Now this becomes very uncomfortable. They know exactly where he is. He has no real idea of how they're setting up. Peeking forward, though, right into the scope. So that man, Crucial, is going to fall, though. And it's a 3 versus 3. They're making their way over towards A. And Mighty Max has to step up huge now. Holding deep from a CT position. Boros aggressive in towards ramp, but nothing sort of spotted out just yet. And they could once again go back to that default of B, and I think it's going to be the case.
Well, Surreal still waiting. He was fed a freebie on the man slow peeking back apps. Now he's got a few more to add to the tally. Still conscious that someone might come apartment. Case the boost up on short. Doesn't swing with the first. Danny's going to drop, and Surreal now has the information. Rotation's going to come in. And he's played this round fantastically.
Yeah. Just killing time, isn't it? That's the best way to do it. Put all the pressure towards Blue Jays. Information spotted again. Really well played. All he has to do is hold down the fort. No, he's not going to connect. Bit risky in this situation. Second time round as well. No. Doesn't find it. Oh, no. Third time he does. Bomb trying to go down. Will actually manage to do so. Missed shot as well. Oh, and a double no-scope to seal things out. Surreal just playing with his food. Toying with the idea. And Endpoint find a 6th on the board. And this is why we do start to see those odds in their favour. Really well played from them. They get a little bit dicey with a missed no-scope, but hey-ho, knife pulled out makes it all the more comfortable. But of course, if you believe Blue Jays have a chance, you can head over to Pinnacle, use the code WINTER22 upon sign-up for all of your betting needs. Of course, terms and conditions do apply, all that good stuff.
You know, Neo, when you say double no-scope, I think of like crazy, simple tier double no-scope play.
Whole zero, you know.
Yeah. That was very far from that. But
that was like me.
Yeah, that was me as well. I'm surprised how accurate that was. But Surreal, I'm not sure what the game plan there was. Both have just been absolutely demolished.
Unfortunate for A-Kit, though. Didn't expect the second. No, it's in close. Looking for a second, and he find it as well. Giving Endpoint a bit of hope now. In towards short. Nerd is so isolated, needs to find some sort of security. He's taken a significant amount of damage too. Now, no utility to support him. Spotted out both ways, and Castanito finds a third. The orb has been reigning supreme. It's all down to one man. He's going to get spotted out surely, momentarily, and that is the case. A quad kill for Castanito. We sung his praises coming in towards this series. We said he has to be someone to keep an eye on, and that's why.
Wow, okay. Well, the first few rounds, we saw no AWPs whatsoever, and then these last couple, it's basically been all the AWPs, and they've been the only ones doing the work. Surreal, in the round before last, 4 kills, kind of did everything on that B site, really won the round for Endpoint with that AWP, and then Kakanito just went stellar in that last. I still don't understand how he find shots in mid, peeked out, hit the guy window, that was Surreal, and then Deagles, who do some damage. But I don't think the round's really in contention. It's basically an eco here from Endpoint.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, from this sort of situation, Endpoint, it's about economical damage if they can find any. With USPS is going to be the case. So I say that. A bit of a mid-push coming forward. Trade on towards Kicksan. Actually now forcing Danny further back. He needs to be careful. Extension coming in, or potentially could be picked up too, and he does need to be extremely careful, buying time. Then he can drop a nade in close, Molotov as well. He just wants to stay alive if he can. Styles gonna get that bomb down at the very least. At Endpoint, we spoke about economical damage being caused, and these pistols, problems. So far, Aiken for the flank though, and I think this should be a more or less a cleanup. Spots one, last player on Mighty Max, 11 points of HP. And while we do love him, I think this is maybe a bit of a step too far, and that's going to be the case. It's actually an assist from Crucial too, as Blue Jays tie this game up 6 rounds apiece.
I know it'll be one for the tally. I'm surprised they didn't manage to get that up, to be honest. I think that was the original plan there for Blue Jays. It was like, make sure they don't get that up. Danny was just sticking around to try and prevent them from taking that sniper. Then he started missing his shots. He started taking damage, and he was like, I'm just going to get the hell out of here. Luckily, the flank came in and prevented that regardless. Full buy-in. Crucial hasn't got that AWP, though, nor Surreal. They're just down to these M4s. A real lack of utility, too. Surreal only with a single smoke. Boros with nothing. So they have to go for a more aggressive play, and that's exactly what they go for here. Aggressive to the... But they miss the early shot. The smoke's going to go down. They're just going to play for the control.
Yeah, they have to, right? They have to now kind of relinquish that cover. Crucial, ever so cautious they made a push coming forward. And once again, it looks like now that the T-Side Blue Jays are taking a bit of a fight, taking sort of that early aggression as we spoke about. They wanted to go for the default over towards B, and now the question is, what do? Fall back over towards mid, try and regain that control, but it hasn't always worked in their favor. How do they play this one now? They haven't been able to pull off their default, and now it's about thinking on the fly. Boost coming in towards mid, run boost that was, as they do at least have mid control, and it's a similar playstyle from Endpoint. Relinquishing mid control over towards Blue Jays, but very, very secure on the sides.
Crucial. Trying to find a little gap in that smoke. Timing doesn't quite bless him on Kaisan, who's just pushed into a ladder room. Slow stuff though. 40 seconds left on this clock. Blue Jays have taken a lot of control. Once again, Endpoint with no sniper, not contesting mid at all. So there's a really big question mark in their defenses. Could anyone be up con? Could anybody be up short? They have no information on it whatsoever. Mighty Max has now got a tall order on B.
Oh, and the flash as well. That's going to make things all the more unfortunate. Spot Danny going to fall. And this is where Mighty Max steps up. Easy pickings for him. All he has to do is buy time. 15 seconds on the clock. And once again, they've left it too little too late. Speaking of though, kicks on towards site. Could be able to cause a little damage. Snowball's too crisp, too clean. Endpoint fine. 7-1 round away from winning at the half, heading into the penultimate round of said half. And it's a beautiful round of CS. Endpoint, make it look easy. And of course, speaking of beautiful, got these lovely extra fire headphones you saw us wearing in the pre-game. Go and check them out. You just go Winter 10 on the website. 10% off everything. Mice, keyboards, bungees, these beautiful headphones, all the good stuff.
Yeah, big fan of these. Big fan of these headphones.
Very
I'm a
comfy.
big fan of the way Surreal played that round last as well. When
I agree.
Mighty Max was flashed, he could have very, very easily been overwhelmed, but Surreal was there on that boost spot, used some perfect utility to slow them down, actually managed to find a kill as well. And it bought Mighty Max enough time to let that flash dissipate. Actually come in and do the damage. Danny with the first kill though. Oh, his position's given away as he takes a tick from the molly. It looks like Blue Jays should just be able to overwhelm this site.
Crucial as well. Danny gonna fall. He spots a little bit in that gap, and it's more than fruitful enough for him to punish. Bomb's still trying to go down, but with that lack of control over towards the site itself, they can't even go for that pushing towards CT. And of course, smoke dissipating gives Mighty Max a bit of room to work with. Blue Jays in a bit of a sticky spot here now. While they do have the man advantage, that lack of control over towards the A site, which they're still trying to push their way onto, is a little bit dicey. And all Endpoint have to do is set up these crossfires.
Stars is low, C4 yet to go down. The thing is, still got 2 players in ramp, and Mighty Max keeping them at bay. Does not want to commit to that bomb plant. He's got an AWP on his back, no one there to watch his CT. They haven't got a smoke to smoke it off either. They need the manpower to come in. With 30 seconds left on this clock, Endpoint are in a decent position, to be honest. Oh no.
Oh no.
Bad timing, just like that, the round's crumbled.
That's it. It's done. I mean, it was looking like Endpoint had a possibility, right? We saw that crossfire set up, the kind of lack of control of the site, as we've mentioned for Blue Jays, but no. That easy first shot. Timing was unfortunate. Pushing towards jungle. Second kill goes their way. Round done. And now for Crucial, it's just a safe call. All he has to do is try and keep this M4 owner sticking across. And sort of, it's a bit of a necessity as well. When you look towards Endpoint, their long-term economy is not in a stable state at all. Especially in comparison to that of the T side, which is going to be more than fruitful after this. And that's not going to help. Casanito punishes brilliantly. One bullet is all it took. 7-7 heading into the final round of the half. And, well, we mentioned the Mirage is going to be a bit of a sort of an aggressive bloodbath, so to say. And, I mean, look where we're at. Tied going into the final round of the half. And it's so even, these two sides.
Absolutely, yeah, with only sort of $2,500 in the bank for Endpoint as well. It's going to be for masses and MP9s going into this final round of the half. I want to see something a little bit funky. I want to see what we saw in the second round, where aggression towards ramp, maybe some aggression towards mid. Instead, it's going to be underpass. And whilst I love it, it's the wrong guess. No one's towards B. It's going to be an A hit.
Yes, unfortunately, this isn't going to work too well in their favor. I guess at the very least they may be able to get a small amount of information and then try and find a wrap. Boros good for one with the FAMAS. Nerds as well, staying alive, but Boros will fall. UMP, not often you see this utilized. The question is, what can he do with it? Rotation coming in. They've got the flank at the very least. A pincer maneuver from the CT side could give Endpoint a bit of room to work with in a 4 versus 4 situation. And with Styles on low HP, there's potential. Swinging forward, one bullet is all it's going to take, and Crucial will punish. That's now an AK collected. Missed shot from the AWP could be punished here, but no. Too quick from AK, and the AK of Danny Rain's supreme as Nerds will fall. And now the potential for the CT side is starting to falter. One by one, it's all down to one man. That are Crucial. What can he do? 1 versus 3. So little information. So little to do as well. And I think this more or less should be a 1 round. The setup has been made. The AWP's holding. Not quite connecting. There we go. Danny closes that one out. 8-7 at the half. And just by a slim margin, Blue Jays take the lead going into the second half. And now, of course, move on to the more preferable side. That's all of the CT. So far, so good.
This has been a good map from them. It's definitely had its ups and downs. But I feel like the rounds that they have won have been really, really strong. They have looked really good in certain scenarios. Especially towards the tail end of that first half. You see those little dots at the top. After going 5-1 down, they only actually let Endpoint slip into his pistol round. Quite important for Endpoint here to get their foot back in the game. It's going to be mid-control once again, playing their opponents at their own tactics. But Kakanito finds the opener.
Brilliant to do so as well. A lot of information getting towards short. Styles should be able to pick up a few here. And just like that, in towards short, it's easy pickings. 1 by 1, he cleans them up. Running out of bullets though, Nerds. 17 points of HP. Will punish for at least 1 more. Bomb not in his control as we speak, but he's causing a couple of problems. Causing these rotations to come forward, but then again, Casanito starts things as he finishes them. A kill to his name finds Blue Jays a brilliant start to the CT side. 9-7, a 2-round lead. So far, so good. I mean, prediction-wise as well, we were kind of coming into this saying this is the win factor, and Blue Jays in a somewhat stable state. The question is now, what can they do? But of course, before we do that, we can once again give a beautiful shout-out to our lovely partners, that of World of Esports. If you like FPL, you know, your fantasy sort of teams like HLTV do, go and check out World of Esports. That's exactly what they do as well.
Very nice. I did quite well in my my IEM Katowice like fantasy team thing. I don't ever do it. But
Who'd you have? Who was on the team?
I had Elian, Twists. You put me on the spot now. I can't remember. Blade.
Already a good start though. I mean, Elian
else.
and Twists.
Yeah, it was a good
players.
team. I was 4th on the leaderboard. I finished 4th on the leaderboard. Yeah, I did quite well.
That is a very, very strong plays.
Yeah.
Speaking of strong, look at this mid-aggression coming forward. Brilliant flash in. Nerds going for the trade at the very least. Dixon going to drop a smoke in close. Doesn't want to take this aggressive fight. Doesn't want to be overwhelmed so far. Endpoint to have that mid-control. And of course, they've wrapped in towards Kitchen already.
Wow, was Boros spotted there? I think he might have been.
Yeah, definitely, surely. Kigsan's too aware. He's now jiggle peeking the answer. And of course, Styles in close. They know this B hit's coming. Kigsan finds Boros. MP9 at close range. You know what it can do. Fire rate makes all the difference. Good for 2. Nerds once again in for a trade. Find his second kill. Looking to make it a 3rd. Not going to be given the chance. Kigsan cleans things up as Blue Jays hit double digits on the board. 10-7. A really, really nice play from them. And of course, as odds getting ever closer.
Yeah, Boros really needed that. For that round to happen, that flank needed to work out. He needed to maybe find himself another kill. Then they can isolate the final man on B and make that work. But as soon as he drops, it's pretty much game over. AK's in hand. A little bit of a bonus here for Blue Jays. Only really meaning that Danny's still on that MP9. Sit and quarter round for Endpoint. If they lose it, they could definitely lose sight of it. Oh, look at the spray transfer to get things going.
Oh, that's just prime Boros. So clean. Finds an opening double. Makes it a third as well. I mean, this is unstoppable. A force to be reckoned with an AK in his hand. Smoking towards front con as well. And now Kixan in a bit of a dicey spot. Bomb planted as well. And for him, it's just about exit frags now. There's so little he can do from this position. Smoke in his face. Potentially might be able to find a consolation kill, a silver lining. But no, this round's done. Endpoint, what a start. It's all off the back of Boros.
Yeah, you see his teammate wants nothing to do with it as well. Styles just right back over towards that B site. Endpoint not going to feed them anything. I mean, look at their money. They know that they have no cash. They really can't afford to be losing weapons for no reason here, and hunting the Blue Jays right now really doesn't give them much in terms of value. Endpoint will make it 8. And it's future planning, isn't it? It's a good rule of like life. Yeah, save your cash for the future. Buy a house with it or something.
Yeah, you know, as you do.
In this case, buy an AWP.
Precisely, and I think that's actually would be a good pickup. That AWP, we've already spoke about that mid aggression that was so consistent in that first half. The kind of that big fight coming forward where Casanito, with the big green in his hands, was such a problem, right? If he's able to done it once again now on the CT side, that's when things I think will start to once again turn in favor of the Blue Jays side, where Endpoint would kind of struggle to really gain control of him. But now look at Endpoint now; they're flooding over towards B early doors.
Well-timed molly. Nade's going to go in as well. Should do a lot of damage, and it does. The real right down to 20 HP, but it's Boros to find the entry regardless. I can't believe he's got away with that.
Somehow, some way as well, Akit, at least in for a trade, will fall immediately, flashing towards Boros' face, but remains alive as we speak. Needs to be careful of this aggression coming forward. Cassie's looking for something, and Boros is so aggressive in his nature. Smoking close as well, trying to bait out this fight. Questions, will he be given it? Crucial. I don't want this overextension here. If he catches the CT player just in a bit of a small spot of bother, no, they're falling away. It's early calls to save here. On the Blue Jays side, another really good round for Endpoint. And what they do this time is they just step up that tempo, don't they? They kind of understand that, realistically speaking, they're going to be coming against, at the very most, sort of a force spy coming in, which is what we saw. MP9 picked up by Casanito. A bit lacking when it came to utility as well. Not really the strongest position for them. So they knew they could have that ability to overwhelm. And of course, granted, that first kill, surprising that Boros got away with it. But hey-ho, it's what he does and what he does best.
Yep.
9 rounds collected for the Endpoint side. And well, you got to say, so far, so good for them. Now the question is, how far can they take things? Well, so far, I've been impressed. On their T side, they're definitely dictating that playstyle.
For sure, yeah. I mean, that round was a really, really nice example of it. You touched in the pre-game about Boros' ability to be that hard entry, and when we thought that he wasn't going to be playing today and Thomas was going to be in his place, you said like missing that hard entry player that's finding those opening kills is going to be a big hit to take, and he gave us a really nice showcase of it just there, bombing into the B site, finding both kills and just giving so much space to his team, completely opening up the door and essentially winning the round. I mean, once he found those 2 kills, Blue Jays just saved, and that was it. It was the Boros show. 10-9, they only lead by 1, and I think that lead is about to be closed as they've only got a couple of weapons saved from the last. Eco's on the rest. Danning needs to do something big here, dancing around this smoke and connector. Endpoint nice and disciplined once again. They know they've got this round in the bag if they just reel it in a little bit. Slow things down. Play together.
They're very methodical in their nature, aren't they? They like to just sort of utilize small bits of information in their favor. And of course, Kixan, what are 2 rifles in play here for Blue Jays, needs to be careful not to overextend himself. Now, we dropped in towards jungle, not going to cause too much of a problem. Second time round, the same sort of case. Bit of damage dealt, but Boros again for the entry. Of course, if it's going to be anyone, it is him. Swinging forward, looking for another. Of course, he will find him before he's traded out by that of Kixan. Nerds from above. Sneaking his way forward out of Palace. Side gap in the smoke, but it's Casanito. He'd realistically, the one he needs to focus his attention towards. I don't think he'll spot and make his way over to his ramp. Now, Molotov will be dropped in. Cassidy's gone aggressive in towards his ramp position, and they need to be cautious of him.
Oh, Mighty Max. He's checking all his angles. Look at this. Not letting any pistols linger, but as the MP9 finds the flank, he still hasn't found the guy L-block. Naked's going to use that as an opportunity to swing out. Find the kill!
No.
Oh my goodness! I don't believe it. Mighty Max cleared every single corner on that bomb site except the one that was required.
Oh, damn.
Oh, and you can see they're not happy with that round. That is not a round they should be losing.
That's unfortunate. That is very, very unfortunate. I mean, really well played from Blue Jays in that situation. Okay, all AK had to do was just lock down the fort, hold, wait, kind of pray that he wasn't spotted. And, you know, back pillar, it's sort of a common angle. And in that situation where they already were getting the bomb down, they'd made so much noise. I think they kind of just had the misinformation that, yeah, okay, cool, sure, no one must be here. We haven't been sort of aggressive. No one's taking any pop shots at us. And it was the wrong call.
Really nicely played from 8K there, though, to not actually peek prematurely and deny the plant. Just, it doesn't matter. Let that bomb go down, then swing and find the kill. That would be the last time they expect you to peek, yeah? If you've already planted the bomb, you just kind of assume that it's clear. And, yeah, it really caught them off guard. Mighty Max was not ready to take a headshot like that. 11-9. Nice opening kill from Surreal, though. Remember, Endpoint, despite taking a brutal loss in that last round, they do still have money.
Very comfortable buy for them, of course. AWP in hand. By now, Bodan's Law as well in the hands of Crucial on 26 points of HP. As the man advantage is being collected now, and we've seen already how much of a sort of a win factor this has been. It's sort of turned the tides in heavy momentum rounds. As they go for this aggression, Danny push deep in towards round. Now, this does become dicey. Nertz is caught off guard last round as he went for that Palace aggression. This time, will he expect in the close range? Doesn't matter. Danny connects one shot, but not the second. Nertz punishes brilliantly, and Akit forced off ticket, forced to a little bit more of a passive angle. There's a lot of control for Endpoint in towards mid and con.
A lot of damage taken, though. They need to be really careful. They're all bunched up in connector here, 4 of them. And they're so low on health. Styles could just blitz through. Kite-Sam to do further damage, but no, the trade's back and forth as clean as you like. They survive with only 35 points of health between them, but it doesn't matter. They win the round. That's all that matters.
Precisely. Comfortable, isn't it? We're starting to see how a round-for-round affair this has been so far. Kind of the lack of control since going on towards the CT side Blue Jays. They've kind of the mid-aggression not be working in their favor. This is where, of course, what we were saying about Castanito picking up that AWP. When he gets control over mid, when he starts sort of shotgun AWPing and the aggressive nature that he likes to do, that's when things will take a turn. A-Kid jumping in towards short, makes it in fact, but a smoke in his face will deny the shots.
I really wasn't sure what kind of buy we'd see this round. We actually saw 3 players with tons of cash, like this 6.5k mark, and 2 with barely anything. And I was wondering if we'd just see a half buy, but no. Double AWPs, an M4, a Deagle, and an MP9. They're kind of going like full on with this one. Everything they can. If they lose it, they're in trouble. If they win, they'll breathe a sigh of relief. Danny up close with this MP9. Needs to not be cleared. And they line up, but he's only good for 1, to be honest. AK for MP9 engagement in that scenario, I mean, that's fine. He'll take that trade all day long.
It's not really the worst, is it? It's, again, for him, it's a success for what he had to work with. Oh, kicks and core timing. It's unfortunate. Crucial punishes. Stars needs to step up alive here, but unfortunate. He falls too. He had the information. He had that relay, but he's unable to get to the shot. But speaking of, that secondary AWP that a Castanito does. And with Surreal and Crucial on low HP, this becomes very doable AK in hand. I'm still yet to go down. Over towards default is coming. They did his face too. 22 points of HP in a 1 versus 2 situation. He's waiting for opportunity. Your shot misses. Castanito punishes. And this is where he steps alive. We've sung his praises time and time again. And this is why, but not this time. A Surreal swinging in. Couple of missed shots. And this game once again tied 11-11. And this is going to go looking like it should go the full distance. But, you know, of course, while it does, we can once again mention our other partners, that of Stream Cards. You see their thing hovering up on your screens on that right-hand side. Click it, play. It, of course, this an extension enhances the experience. Play along, you'll understand.
Just the pistols now. Blue Jays' gamble didn't pay off. It felt so close when they were in that 3v3 scenario. It felt like they just needed to slow it down, just reevaluate for a second, get in the position for the retake. Instead, they kind of jumped the gun. They peeked 1 by 1. We saw that jump up over the smoke on Ticket Booth. That was definitely a mistake. Just like that, it crumbled beneath them. Almost an incredible clutch as well from Castanito. Just couldn't quite pull it off. Now Endpoint should be able to take the lead here for 12, unless they crumble under the pistols. Only a Deagle invested here, though. That's Kick Sam. Yeah, Endpoint again, still not taking any chances. I assume Mighty
Like
Max
it.
has been able to read the economy and anticipate the fact the Blue Jays will be on an eco here, but they don't care. They're worried that they're about to walk into a stack. They're clearing everything. They're still using their util. It's very smart stuff.
Yeah, I like the sort of methodical nature. They don't leave anything up to chance, even when they know they're coming against a more or less a nothing buy, right? They don't ever want to sort of give opportunities. Winning out on the eco is such a difference maker. It turns the tide in so many key situations in so many games, and of course, they don't want to do exactly that. Aggression coming in towards Connector. Crucial miss shot. Very, very nearly punished as well. And of course, actually, second time around it will be. In towards mid. Surreal needs to be careful. Spotting one. And the second two from above will be able to find it. Yes, he will. Leads all down to Styles. 1 point of HP and a dream. Boros doesn't quite spot him out. Second time round he does. Brilliant stuff for Endpoint to regain the lead for the first time in a long time, in fact. Take that lead back 12-11. And on T side, looking actually much more consistent than the CT.
Just that professional style as well, you know. If I know the other team's on an eco, I'm going to say, let's rush A. I'm going to throw 2 flashbangs. Half the time we'll lose if they stack it. These guys. Yeah, just not about that. Very, very well played. Only losing 1 man as well. Damage control's really key in those rounds. They don't want to be losing weapons. They want to be building up that economy. We're getting into the later stages of the game where it's very, very important to have that kind of cushion behind you to fall back on if you need it. Looks like it's going to be a hit over towards the A side of things. 3 CTs in play ready. Already up Tetris and Crucial.
Crucial. But it's Danny with a double. That turns things now. And of course, the orb shot needs to come out, especially on towards this player. Surreal wants to stay alive. Doesn't matter. Casanito caught turning. Gives opportunities to them. Spamming through the wood. Nert's not able to connect on the kill. And Crucial's taking quite the significant damage, making his way out from ramp. Still staying alive. Single orb, double AK set up for Endpoint. So far becoming very, very costly towards them. They're low on HP. Bomb collected at the very least. And of course, smoke allowing Crucial to fall away. And now they have an opportunity to go back over towards B, which is completely empty.
I'm sure it won't be by the time they get. That's really needed that kill though. Oh man. If he found that headshot, it keeps Blue Jays busy for a few extra seconds and it gives them that man advantage that they desperately need in this scenario. Now they're a man down, lacking on health. The bomb's still trailing behind, trying to get to this B site. Surreal's able to clear it. He knows they're going to be back towards market. And this retake's going to... Yeah, Surreal gets the timing on the peak though, 2v2.
Styles, though, makes it a 1 versus 2. AWP in hand. Flash gonna come in. Good for the first as well. Will he know where the second's coming from? He's so many angles to clear and overextends. Danny holds down the line, waits for the repeat coming in and punishes for him. Knows he was low on HP too. That's Danny with a quad kill to his name. Tied this game up once again at 12-12, and Mirage is looking like it's gonna go the distance.
Yeah, a couple of key engagements there that could have gone either way. Definitely would have dictated the outcome of that round. Crucial, not expecting in a million years that both of the players would be stacked towards door. I was worried they were going to go for a double swing and that he'd hit the collat right there.
Yeah.
But no. No AWP here either for the T side. They did have enough money for one. Mighty Max could have dropped one over. Instead, they opt for this 5 rifle setup. They want that versatility. Maybe we see something a little bit quicker off the back of it. On the other side of things, Blue Jays, a decent buy, but a couple of contingencies. 2 from Acids in play, lacking on util for a couple of guys. Here comes the mid control though for Endpoint.
Do you know what? At the very least, even when Endpoint lose rounds, they make it extremely expensive, don't they? And that's what Blue Jays struggle to do in their sort of T side. We would see them kind of lose rounds where they're not expected to win, for example, but they wouldn't make it expensive at all. So the long-term economy of Endpoint was always more or less pretty consistent. But no, Endpoint, as you mentioned, those contingencies coming in, the double FAMAS is a question mark. And speaking of question marks, Casanito's already made his way in towards window. Something in which the T-side don't seem to be aware of. And speaking of, in fact, AK finding the opener. Surreal. In for 1 on towards that trade. Casanito spamming forward, delivers 2. Oh, so aware that a Casanito Surreal will fall. Bomb plant at the very least, with a man disadvantage.
I wasn't sure how I felt about that for a second. I was thinking, why is he spamming? He's given away this position. He's got a fantastic flank, but yeah, definitely worth it when he can find the kill. Nertz needs to be aware of his flank right now. He's kind of teasing the idea there's one behind. Timing's perfect. Casanito gone. And now the 3v3. Oh. my goodness, he cleans up with a triple, as clean as it comes.
Wow.
And Endpoint make it 13. What a nice little sequence there from Mighty Max.
Timeout called, and I don't blame them. I mean, after that, from Mighty Max to clean things up, I do not blame them either. They just want to take a bit of a breather. I mean, that was a really, really nice closeout. The bomb plant, again, it goes back to that post-plant setup. For Endpoint, it's very methodical. They play it perfectly. They wait for the mistakes. They wait for the overextensions to come forward, and then once they get them, boom, that's when they pounce. Very, very well played because of it. And, well, of course, what we do see now is that timeout called. Endpoint once again in the lead, and now the question is, can they close this one out? 3 rounds away from the all-losers 16. And so far, so good.
You know, that might have lost it for them, for Blue Jays. That was such a key round. When you look at the economy and when you look at the scoreline as well, that was one that they really, really needed. Now that they've lost it, they've got no cash in the bank. They're pretty much going to have to eco here and allow Endpoint onto 14, and then they're going to need a flawless 4 in a row to make this happen. But at that point, they would have already let Endpoint put some cash behind them. They're seriously in trouble here.
I agree. I do think they are. I mean, it's a bit of a dicey spot for them. Of course, there is Boros.
He's blowing his mouse, making sure there's
As you do. Oh, death stare.
no
Staring
dust
contest.
or hair under it.
Mighty Max, of course, one of UK's finest. And of course, speaking of fine, we'll once again mention our lovely partners, that of Extrafy, these beautiful headphones. And our code WINTER10 comes off all the website. Kicks and going aggressive in towards mid. USPS. A lot of damage, in fact, and this mid aggression becoming somewhat problematic. Mighty Max only good for 1. Made that a second, in fact. And now, of course, back to how we expected. It was looking a little bit dicey there. Where Styles, in a 1 versus 3, this more or less should only go one way. Hang on a second. Shot not quite connecting, but he got the information. Mighty Max will punish.
Far too expensive, though.
Agreed. Very much so. 3 kills with just pistols. What? 2 deagles? That's way too expensive in my eyes.
Just a couple of massive whiffs. You see Boros there almost getting frustrated. He's sprayed almost the whole mag. All of the bullets are missing. He's had to reset it halfway through, and then he's still fallen to those USPs. Either way, it's that 14th that they're looking for, but there isn't that massive economic cushion. If they hadn't have lost all 3 players there, so Real Boros and Crucial's reinvestment wouldn't have been needed. They would have had tons of cash on every man right now. Instead, that's a little dicey, and that's probably given Blue Jays a little bit of confidence to make this comeback happen. M4's all round, though, lacking on the util side themselves. For Endpoint. Yeah, kind of nothing to spare, really. 4 AKs and AWP, lots of utility to work with, and Terrell is probably the late for the first.
Does need to be careful. Takes a small amount of damage, and an aid will make it all the more uncomfortable. Down to 6 points of HP by the skin of his teeth remaining alive. Point of a 2-round lead, but of course, this one is not off to a good start. Now, looking towards Palace, and we see this double stack once again over towards Con. We've seen so far how Endpoint have been kind of really enjoying that mid control, pushing in towards Con, then going for the split on towards A. And now we're seeing Blue Jays be very attentive towards it, wanting to sort of deny that control over towards them, deny that sort of push forward. Danny in close as well. This kill on towards Nurse, but Nurse will punish brilliantly. The swing coming in, crouch peek, oh so easy, tapping away, trying to find the Palace player. But in doing so, they tunnel vision their attention over towards Palace, and they've allowed them on towards sides.
So needs wants to spam through the smoke, waits a second. That's the right move. Manages to find Crucial in the meantime. Still a man advantage though. Styles tucked out of his angle by that Molotov. This is going to be tricky, especially with Boros finding that one.
Oh, so crisp. Oh, Boros. The second is beautiful. I mean, that first 180, so insane. I mean, this is, when players talk about other players and they're saying, comparing themselves, and they always kind of go back to the same argument of, yeah, there's always this cracked kid with high sense who's just unstoppable. Boros is a prime example. So young, high sense. I mean, he's just so hard to sort of do anything against that. It doesn't matter. Boros will tap you away left, right, and center. 15 collected. Endpoint 1 round away from closing out their opponent's map pick in what has been a close affair, but an emphatic fashion since going towards their T side. Now, things that make things all the more uncomfortable over towards Blue Jays, may I say, is that real lacking by. I mean, a triple MP9 scout on a FAMAS, it's not where you want to be, M&J.
Definitely not. I mean, however this one goes, I've been pretty impressed with Blue Jays, I'll be honest. They're not a team that have really ever been on my radar. I do actually have some Blue Jays stickers for some reason from years ago. But, you know, they're not a team that have been on my radar. Yeah, I don't know why.
Where'd you get them from?
Some event ages ago.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I mean, they've been good recently. They've had a fantastic run to get to this point in the first place. They've really given Endpoint a run for their money. And they've still got a chance of making it happen. I don't want to count them out just yet. But with Boros finding that opening, does give Endpoint a nice advantage.
And P9 unable to connect it. Danny in close, hasn't even cleared it. Would they expect the double stack? Kicks are good for one, and Danny comes alive. Fending a second, in fact. And it's all starting to crumble. A 2 versus 2. So the firepower definitely in favor of the T side. So we're all going for the full wrap. But in doing so, these crucial isolates on the site. And now he's all alone, 1 versus 2, and 11 points of HP.
It really felt like they had some misinformation there. That was a massive gamble that they just didn't need to take. Crucial was so exposed right out in the open. Surreal's trying to go for that wrap. And yeah, I mean, if he goes for it a few seconds earlier, maybe he gets the timing right. But in a 2v2 like that, I just don't think that's a gamble you're going to be taking. Blue Jays against all odds, even 2 men down, managed to pull that off. And now they're in a position where they could take this to OT. Endpoint. Okay, they've got just about enough cash to go for another investment here. But it's not going to be as easy as the last. They're not going to be up against those FAMASs and MP9s this time. The big guns have come out.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, a bit of a gamble there from Endpoint that was very, very costly. And this is the sort of the do or die for them. Lose this round and it more or less guarantees overtime on the cards, doesn't it? I mean, for Endpoint, this is their last-ditch effort to close this one out. And they're going for that once again. Slow takeover towards A. Molotov in, keeps them at bay. Smoke as well, but they're going to push forward through it. And Nertz will be punished. Danny good for the first. Now just posting up towards back triple. Doesn't need to overextend as the swing comes in off the back of the flash. Trying to clear that a Tetris, but Surreal good for 1. Boros as well triggered this win. Oh, so smart. Here's a sound cues running over to a CT. And finds 1. Now, of course, the transfer can come forward. Castanito needs to be ever so careful of his flank. And forces Kixan into an aggressive stance.
Kixan. I like this position. Smoke really acts as... Boros, confused by that one, doesn't quite find that kill. Kixan, there we go. Dancing around the edge, finds another. Casanito joining the party and fighting that. Probably an impossible. Yeah, counted him out a little too early, but no. Kixan finds him 15-14. Blue Jays. It actually looks like they're going to be taking us to OT here because Endpoint have no money.
Yes, I think that's exactly the case. I mean, that's been odds still very much in favor of Endpoint taking the series, but this map looking like it could go either way. I mean, so far, as you mentioned, with the real distinct lacking economic situation over towards the Endpoint side, I mean, what we're going to see is a very mixed buy. Double Deagle, 1 Galil, or 2 Galils, I say, and 1 AK. I mean, it's not really what you want to do when it's round number 30. I'm trying to deny overtime on the card, but they're going for mid-aggression. AK needs to be careful. Tag down to 42. As Castanito comes in towards for sports, spamming forward. The Eagles trying to punish, but in towards Shorts. Kixan tried to step up and missed shots, gets punished for it. Boros steps alive, and of course he does.
Oh, Boros. Here's another perfect, so well played. Maybe one more here. No, it's not going to happen. 3v3, but I'm not sure if we can really count it as a 3v3. Look at the health on Nertz and Surreal. They're bombing it towards this B-bomb site, but there's still one defender lying. It's Danny right at the... In fact, it's not Danny, it's Styles right at the back.
And they didn't clear him. In towards bench, a common angle. A little bit too common this time. Looking for the second. Fine to trade coming in, Nertz. 1 versus 2. Galil in hand. Bomb needed to be collected from a tough place, and it's going to get spotted out, ladies and gentlemen. That more or less confirms it. Overtime on the card for us in map number 1. We said this was the win factor, and of course, this is the one that's going to go the full distance.
Wow, Endpoint. Still your favourites. Those odds have hardly shifted. I mean, if you do want to get in on the action, you've just been given a little bit of extended time to do so. Of course, our partners over at Pinnacle providing all of the latest in-play odds for these tournaments, and you've still got 2 maps, well, potentially 2 maps left of this series as well. Yeah. 15-15. I think Endpoint have now got a big advantage now that they've got this money behind them. I feel like the last couple of rounds have their way to that lack of economy, and there you go, breath of fresh air, the confidence. Look at that.
Stunning. Early aggression coming in. Danny needs to be careful. But it's like that though, and in fact, this could be punished. Tag down. Oh, that's very unfortunate. The sound cue was more than enough. Crucial at range as well. easy pickings. And so I say, before Surreal falls, gives somewhat potential as Akit trying to make that jump on towards the ticket. Easier said than done, as he's left now all alone. A 1 versus 4, and this should be Endpoint. The first round of OT picking up the first round. Boris to punish as well. He's so quick, isn't he? 16 rounds collected, Endpoints. Good start in OT.
Yeah, what a dominant fashion. I mean, I love that. Just saying, right, we've got guns behind us. I always feel, I mean, I've been in these situations a million times where you're on match point, you drop a couple of rounds, end up going to overtime, but those final couple of rounds, you don't have weapons behind you, and you kind of get very used to like playing with pistols and MAC-10s or whatever. And then as soon as you're in OT and you've got an AK and an AWP again, you just say, right, let's just go kill them. Let's just go for something aggressive. That's exactly what they do, and it works out beautifully. Mighty Max with a great double. Benito. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is just bullying at this point. Boros, stop it.
So aggressive, isn't he? I mean, this is the Boris we know and love. This is why, as well, we in the pre-game, when we kind of, again, had that thought that, you know, potentially it was Thomas instead of Boris stepping in. This is what you miss. You know, high impact fragging. He always, more or less, is that top fragger, the early entry, the space creator. Kind of, they rely heavily on his success, don't they? And that's where Endpoint sort of find a lot of their favorable positions. It's of, well, Boris stepping up and doing what he does best. Now, of course, over towards B, they're slowly maneuvering as Nurse steps up himself, the new boy in the block, dropping kicks and leaving it down to 3. Will they clear truck? No, they don't. One apiece is now we're all even. 3 versus 3 now, and under a minute left on the clock.
Boros, again, look, he's just gone walkabouts. Clearing so much space, he's checking A, he should be able to catch out one off guard in CT. Really comes down to timing here. There you go, Sappy headshot. He can think, but he's found the kill. Styles with one elsewhere. But a 2-on-2, and they've got the A site.
He's a pleasure to watch, isn't he, Boris? Continuously just proving a high sense does something. Now Akit, open hand will be cleared. Oh, it doesn't matter. Crucial. He spotted him, but Akit is just so crisp. And it leads down to, of course, this one man. Boros, 1 versus 2. Keep the dream alive. Flashbang going to come over as well. First time around, not going to connect. And Danny, doesn't matter. It's Akit to close it out. Bit of utility usage. Baits out the repeat coming forward, and they pays the price for it. It's a lovely finish there. Pistol whipping is all it needs to tie this game up 16-16.
Wow, I mean, if you're Boros, you've got to be a little bit frustrated right now. It really feels like he's doing everything he can in these rounds to find these opening picks. It's just not enough. Not enough. They keep crumbling in these kind of late round retake 2v2 scenarios. Still with the cash behind them, though. Of course, it's overtime. They've got more than enough of it. And Akit trying to play with this little gap in the smoke, perhaps, or timing the tiny bit off in mid. But he has got the information nonetheless.
Information. Uncharacteristic miss, though. Now, Akit, how aggressive does he want to play is the question. Molotov in towards this close position. Doesn't want to be over-aggressed forward. Needs to be careful. This double stacking towards top. It is somewhat problematic, and there's the punish. Akit, he was tunnel vision in, pays the price for it, and of course now, a man advantage once again in favor of the T side as they want to aggressively go on their stance in mid. Now, smoking towards window. The question is, what do they do forward? They can push it back over towards B, but they struggle at times forward, or try and just brute force their way on towards A.
Love that opening from Crucial as well. Normally we see the barrel poking out, people wait for the peak, not Crucial. You'll trace your arm all the way back to your head and pop it through the wall. This M4, though. Casanito bringing it right back to evens and actually in his team's favour. Cyril needs to find an entry, and he does so. Back into a 3v3 situation, and Endpoint still with the charge.
alongside us. These tournaments, all the other tournaments on the deck as well. Go check it out.
So well played there between Surreal and Nuts as well. That little 1-2 sucker punch in that clutch situation. Surreal doesn't peek bench. Nuts gets checked in that corner. But as soon as he gives that distraction, it's open season for Nuts. A round up, Endpoint 17-16. Of course, 19 that magic number. 18 apiece would take us to double OT. At Endpoint, certainly with their eyes on the prize here. They want to get Mirage done. They want to be on to their own map pick of Dust 2. A double AWP set up to try and get them there for Blue Jays. Not a single sniper. Just working with these AK-47s.
Slow tempo here. Endpoint at times struggled on their CT side. In that regulation, the question is what can they do now? They've relinquished mid control. This was a standard. We also saw that the default as well for Blue Jays was over towards B. There's a couple of spams forward. A big factor here could be Surreal. Molotov in close will force him further back, and Crucial needs to be careful. His tunnel vision is towards short, and a bit of aggression could be problematic from bottom con. Shot being taken as well. Good for one. Not traded out. No scope for the second as well. Made that three. Crucial. That is brilliant. Not quite connecting on the fourth, but it does not matter. As he maneuvers his way back forward, as Danny need to trade.
Oh, man. That fourth kill would have been so big. I mean, I'm not downplaying the triple at all. That was absolutely massive. But if he'd have found the fourth there, it may have even been round over. Surreal's now got a tall order on his hands. A sea of smokes to work through too. Not going to be able to deny the plant. Does know that he's on default though. Giving his position away too. Yeah, now they certainly know where he is.
Slow. Surreal, he's just trying to give himself an opportunity. Missed shot though, and I think this might more or less confirm it. A 3-2-1 swing could be what's needed. Doesn't matter. Kicks on. Molotov in. Swings off the back of it. Once again, this game tied. Now, of course, 19 is what we're looking for here. And I don't know, it's posturing towards a double OT, I have to say.
Yeah, it really is. I'll be honest. We're just kind of going back and forth, aren't we? As soon as it looks like a team's... I mean, let's be honest, the first round of this overtime, I was really feeling Endpoint. As soon as they went out with that confidence, they had like almost a flawless round. I thought, okay, right, this is where they just put their foot down and they take what's theirs. And it's not gone that way at all. We've gone back and forth. We're at 17-17. It really couldn't be closer. Again, Blue Jays not opting for an AWP. They feel like last round went well. I mean, to be honest, I don't blame them.
No, not at all. I think it's probably, in this sort of situation, somewhat smart way to play it. Questions now for Endpoint on the CT side. We could have mentioned regulation. They were a little bit, I'd say, weak at times. We know that B side was a bit of a hindrance towards them, but generally speaking, they lack that control. And it was off the back of individuals stepping up. Of course, we go back to Boros especially, but you know, even in that previous round, 3 kills for an AWP, and even still they lost it. It's a tough position to be in. Mighty Max no good for the first. We're going to make a second, but gets caught jumping up. Molotov will be the one to trade him out. Surreal though, good for one, but only one as it's back to 2 versus 2, and Boros has taken damage.
Oh, this just feels like a rinse and repeat, a broken record of these 2v2 situations where there's just a crunch, kills back and forth. Boros alive though. That's such a huge play, such a huge kill. And Akit now has to find both. Knows he needs to isolate Boros on short here to try and get done. And there we go, finds the kill. Now it's very doable. The Mom got one. He swings for the frag and he gets it. Crucial. Caught with his pants down. He needed to just cross the site, get on that bomb. He second-guessed himself, and now Blue Jays are on that point.
Oh, this is now very, very dicey. Pressure on towards the likes of Endpoint, and of course, that's another round, and one in which you don't expect them, but they should have closed out. A 2 versus 1 situation. All they had to do was play for the crossfire, play for timing. Boros gets caught off guard in towards short. Granted, fine, but of course, then, you know, getting caught in transition with the AWP in hand is not where you want to be. The CT side of Endpoint in a bit of a dicey spot and need to find this round here. That's just to push it to double OT, just to deny the map going the way of Blue Jays. And the question is, can they?
Boros. Yo, what a shot from Crucial. There's a crucial shot for him to hit. Burning alive in that Molotov, but he will get out of it. Boros just towards triple. It's 7-4 in hand. Concern one's coming in from Palace. That's not the case at all. The next peak of
Oh, there it is. Casanito rips off Nurta's head. Back to a 4 versus 4. Crucian is 0-2 aware.
oh, man.
And speaking of aware, kicks on. He's just snuck his way on towards Tetris. Boros gets caught in transition. It's a similar sort of small mistake which becomes so costly. Now, one disadvantage for the CT side of Endpoint, and one of which that they're in a tough spot. They need to deny out the 19 here, and this is what Mighty Max is doing. Finds a first towards Casanito, but is getting back over towards B, and this has been a weakness for them.
Trades back and forth, but the 2 kills over towards the A site leaves Styles all by himself. Needs to get this done. Bomb goes down. Endpoint not wasting any time, but the nade causes complications. Now Crucial Zorp is down to a pistol. He doesn't want to use it close range, and Styles punishes him all day long. 19-17, Blue Jays. My goodness. Wow, what a comeback. I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, not at all. And of course, map number 2 coming up on the card. Dust 2 will be where we're heading next. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We'll see you after the break.
Just two. But frustration might kick in, it might cost them. Kicksam playing this perfectly, waiting for the timing to bounce, and there it is. Headshot back. Needs the second low on health, so he needs to be careful. He's still doing damage to Surreal. Surreal just can't connect at all. Gets a cheeky reload in the middle, does eventually find it. Everyone follows up onto Danny, I don't believe it.
Oh, it's brilliant. I don't know how he's got away with that second kill as well. I mean, just playing so aggressive around the ball. Gets a reload in, should never be given that sort of space. But Endpoint, somehow, some way, come out on top there. And that's the priority for them. Gives them longevity in terms of their economy going forward. And of course, now we're starting to see the Endpoint that we kind of lacked towards the latter part of Mirage. Much better in their favor. And the question is now, with a full buy, can they keep this ticking across, Mercer?
BLUEJAYS go for a force buy here. Of course, they found themselves a few kills in that last round. In fact, 4 of them. I can't believe they're going to be frustrated. They've let Surreal get away with that. I can't believe he's found himself both kills in that scenario. Styles, that does open up the door. Crucial dropping early. M4 in play. Unfortunately, that second weapon, it's gone down on short, can't be retrieved. Position, especially with this boost in on short.
They don't need to do or is somewhat problematic, but the man advantage makes it all the more doable. And they've added to it as well as Haykit just rips off Surreal's head. And this full buy, this kind of significance in firepower for the Endpoint side is being, well, tested, it's safe to say.
Oh my goodness, so much damage dealt on BLUEJAYS. How on earth have they just done that much? I mean, Endpoint were in the CT smoke, they even threw the top one as well to make sure there was no gap around the side of it, but they've just been spammed right through, and they all lose their lives just like that. 1-1, BLUEJAYS right back in the picture. They don't give Endpoint anything, and very similar to what we saw on Mirage as well. Yeah, it was BLUEJAYS that won the pistol, and Endpoint bit right back, just giving them a taste of their own medicine.
Exactly that. You know, we saw this on Mirage, and of course, the question is now, how does this one go in comparison? You know, when we look towards Dust 2 as a map, we kind of mentioned it's a counter pick against the likes of BLUEJAYS, isn't it? I mean, we know kind of it's a map which they're not too favorable with, and Endpoint themselves, a map which they're not too common to pick it into, but they're, so statistically speaking, the better side on it. They've gone for that counter pick. The question is, though, is it going to be a thorn in their side? You know, for BLUEJAYS, we haven't seen too much of them, but it's not necessarily meaning that they're bad.
Yeah. Takes a bit of damage. Falls away from that one though. Just slow stuff here towards short. Endpoint. I mean, it's a full force fight from them. They've spent all their money, but it doesn't really look like it. There's not a lot behind them. Some Deagles, a little bit of Kevlar, no utility left. Mighty Max on that scout now instead of Nerds. They're just making noise towards mid, teasing that something's going on there, when in fact, they're headed towards the B tunnels.
Slower push here. Of course, they need to be ever so slightly careful. 2 players seem to be read their number. The smoke in front as well makes it all the more uncomfortable in this take. 40 seconds on the clock, and they've got no utility to get them out now. I mean, this is the worst part for the Endpoint side. That real lack of utility makes it all the more uncomfortable. With Surreal, good for one. They're looking to try and make a B split work, and of course, that is a brilliant way to start things off. Window player gets domed out of the equation. Flashbang into his top tunnel, and Danny's all alone now, as he has to try and deny 4 players aggressing on towards his B side. Here's Sound Cue, but in the first find it, transfer on to the second, but Nerds at least finds the trade. B side in their favor, Mighty Max running scout, good for one more. Man advantage collected, and somehow, somewhere, Endpoint are in the driving position here.
We take doable, but somehow Endpoint have kind of snatched this back. We're going so back and forth once again. Kickstand coming in, big headshot though onto the scout. Knows that there's one in tunnels, knows that there's one on side. Get the timing correct, and there you go. Teammate comes in to support. Surreal with a big headshot. No way did he pull off another clutch, no. Not enough time. Kit on the bomb as well, and there you go. Casanito will snatch that up, get that defuse in, but oh my goodness, that came far too close for comfort.
Yeah, that is safe to say. I mean, very, very close to going in favor of the Endpoint side. And the priority as well with that sort of low buy is just getting that bomb down. It gives them longevity in terms of their economy, it gives them consistency going forward, which is what they need. And kind of, they can take positives from that massively, the Endpoint side. I think they've done more than enough to kind of warrant themselves kind of smile on their faces going in towards this round. Very, very expensive over towards the Blue Jays side. A bomb plant down as well. So far, so good. But of course, Blue Jays are the ones in the lead. 2-1 is where they stand. Flash going to come in. Nerd's not going to be caught off guard by it. Nearly getting ticked down.
Mid control again for Endpoint. It's been what's on the menu for the last couple of rounds now. They've had quite a lot of success with it. Once again, big opening headshot from Casanito. Trades right back though. Deals a nice amount of damage with that HE as well. Endpoint just not letting up. They haven't ecoed once so far this game. Even though they're 2-1 down, even losing last round, finding 2 kills was enough to justify another buy here. Is it going to work out for them?
Sands holding from back plat over towards Ram. Good for the first, but only one. Casanito's still trying to cause a ruckus in towards CT, but it might be an early call to rotate their way back in now. They're going to try and double up over towards short. Sporting that at Danny. Casanito's still trying to cause a problem, but swinging in Surreal. Of course, sleeping there, looking for one more. Crucial Almighty Max one apiece. And now down to the 1 versus 1. What can Styles do? Molotov deep on towards sight. From back ramp as well. I mean, so far not being given the attention necessary. Styles looking for the double, looking for the brace to deny Endpoint. Second round on the board. And once again, this similar situation. Bomb tap. This will force Crucial to push forward. All of our timing in. Spamming through the boxes. Styles who comes out on top. 6 points of HP. And just about finding Blue Jays a third. Or not. Doesn't have the kit. You hate to see it.
Oh man, I thought he still had it.
Yeah, so did I. I thought he had just about, half a second worth of time. But no.
Wow, that's a rough one as well. Given the fact that I had a couple in a row, there was definitely some kits lying about. That's a real shame. Another one of those skin baron codes popping up, just to give you a bit of insight on what those are. It's a one-time use code. Flashes up on the screen for a couple of seconds. You've got to jot it down real quick, put it into skin baron, and it's a €2 code, I believe. So, yeah, if you're quick, you've got to have quick hands.
Even for €2, you can get a decent skin with that. I mean, I think you can pick yourself up a little upgrade if you've got nothing kicking about, and of course you can add it to a bigger purchase if you want.
Or some cool stickers. I'm a big fan of the frog stickers from the operation.
I did see. I think I saw you tweet about that at one point.
My frog clock.
Yes, that was it.
My prized possession. It's not, but it's one of them. It's a gem. It's a gem for sure.
Yeah, we do. We love to see it. The frog lock. Now, over towards Blue Jays, 1M4 A1S is all they're bringing into this round. Supported by a little bit of utility, small amount of pistols. It's a tough situation for them to be in. They're going to have a real distinct lack of control.
Just with these pistols, trying to do maybe a little bit of damage. Boros is going to check the corner, but Styles is too quick. 2 dinks to the head, and just like that, another rifle's been picked up. Casanito, of course, with that M4 that he saved from the last 2. Maybe a chance to do some further damage here with a bit of a crossfire in mid. No, he doesn't find the kill.
It's real. No, it's comfortable stuff. Firepower making the difference. M4 and Nanza Casanito is the only real kind of threat to the Endpoint side, and it shouldn't be too much. I mean, the low HP on Endpoint is somewhat problematic. Even the P250 of Danny could be a slight issue. They are splitting over towards B, though. Danny lurking in towards lower tons shouldn't be able to find too much. This should be more or less one-way traffic. I say that before Crucial falls. Our weapon collected, room to work with. In a 2 versus 3 situation, technically, in my eyes, Blue just have the advantage here.
Yeah, especially with the low HP on all of these Endpoint members, and they don't really have the weaponry to negate that damage either. It feels like an AWP in play or something like that, but there isn't. It's Galils, it's AKs. There's really no utility. Either way, Blue Jays don't necessarily know that they're falling away. Actually, a lot of the damage that was dealt was spammed through smokes and whatnot, so they're not aware how low Endpoint are in this situation.
That's unfortunate. I feel like if they went for it, right, I think they could have pretty comfortably done it. I mean, it leaves Mighty Max all alone. They clean them up very, very comfortably in the exit frag position. And of course, 8K's going forward. Real positivities there from the Blue Jays side. I mean, okay, granted, Endpoint went out the round. They take a lead once again. But I mean, you have to say that the Blue Jays side, they economically wise, cause long-term problems over towards that of Endpoint, leaving them with a kind of a mixed bag of buys once again. We've seen Galil's come through, a scout as well. Kind of a real lack of utility looking forward as well. And these Blue Jays, at least some room to work with. Now, of course, what can they find off the back bit? On control seems to be a priority. Casanito taking damage already down to 48, but just about making the cross.
Ooh. Styles, I think, realizes just how lucky he is right there. Bullet whizzing past his head. This has been a bizarre game so far, though. Back and forth, incredibly close rounds. Not what you'd necessarily expect, especially considering we really thought Endpoint had this map in the bag.
Agreed.
Once again, presence towards the middle of the map. BLUEJAYS not really contesting it. Forced forward by the Molly, though. They're going to flash in and take the fight. It's been 1-for-1 so far. Not a bad outcome. Needs a second. Kicks down. Does it? Pulls out the pistol. Can't do any more than that, but he's done really free.
Crucial fall. Molotov in close as well. Daniel low HP, same with Casanito. Room to work with. As Styles gets tagged down. Surreal's good for one. A trade on towards Nerds. Leaving Surreal alone. Of course, information gain. A potential for the flank to come forward. 40 seconds on the clock. No bomb in hand. And of course, he won't even clear the close position. Casanito able to tie this game up once again for the likes of Blue Jays. 3-3 is where we stand. But more importantly, a lack of economy for the T side of Endpoint. No buy to come forward for them. It maybe at the very most upgraded pistols. Actually, no, it looks like they're going to go for the full force into it. I mean,
Oh, wow.
For the most part, pretty much all of them are below 2K. You normally want to stick around that 2K mark if you want that longevity in terms of buys. But yeah, they're just going to full force into it. I think this is a very risky buy.
It is risky, but as you say, a couple of players here on double eco, they can't really justify like ecoing into this one and then not having a full investment in the next.
Sure.
But it's been tough. I'm not surprised their economy's completely broken. Every single one of these rounds that they've won has not been a clean round at all. They've been very, very close. A lot of damage taken. Now pushing towards the B-side, Smash going to go through, and these pistols are going to try and funnel in and overwhelm with the numbers. It's not going to happen. The M4's just tearing them apart. And just like that, I think it could be a fourth here in the lead for the Blue Jays.
I think so. Danny in close, USPS, trying to find something. But I still want a raid at the very least. But just like that, a quick shutdown on towards Mighty Max. He was good for one, but only one. Those are, we saw them pop up earlier, but those Pinnacle odds, I mean, they've really had a stark change. When we came into the series, I mean, it was very, very much in favor of the Endpoint side for the entire series that was. And now it's gone completely the other way. And you can kind of see why. Blue Jays looking a bit more of a well-rounded side when it comes towards a sort of the crucial rounds, talking about, gaining and keeping momentum in your favor. They've been much better at just kind of grabbing a hold of it and, of course, putting consistent consecutive rounds on the board. And for Endpoint, while they've had moments of brilliance, it hasn't been that more consistent basis. Those Pinnacle odds in favor. Of course, if you believe Endpoint still have a chance, you can, I don't know if it's Pinnacle, Winter 22 is the code for that one. And, of course, terms and conditions do apply, 18 plus, all that good stuff.
Yeah, back down to a full eco Endpoint, perhaps in some trouble here as Blue Jays are starting to take control of not only this map, but this series, to be honest. Remember, they're a map up. And frustrations maybe starting to kick in for Endpoint. Sometimes really difficult to get into the mentality of a professional team, a professional player, perhaps. But morale, mentality. Ooh, fair bit of damage being dealt by these pistols, but it should still be a clean-up. Maybe a bomb plant available here, though, for Mighty Max.
To at least get that down. So, a silver lining in a bad situation. Jump shot to the M4ONS. He's just being chipped away here. Should be a clean-up, and it's going to be exactly that. Blue Jays make it 5. But the silver lining, as we spoke about, the bomb going down gives Endpoint that buy coming in towards the next round. One in which desperately needs to be converted now because they're struggling to get a hold of this T side. And of course, this is those odds we were talking about. They are in favor of Blue Jays, and you can see why. I mean, a 2-round lead being built up here, a strong grasp of momentum, and long-term economy too. I mean, everything seems to be playing in favor of the North Macedonian side.
For sure, yeah. And this has got to be a, I don't know, I wonder if we've got some, like, North Macedonians in the chat that are like, yeah, let's go. This is like, one of the biggest showings from one of their teams in a while. This has been a fantastic tournament so far for Blue Jays, and they might actually bag themselves a spot in the quarterfinals. I mean, who'd have thought it? Right now, Danny's taken a lot of damage. It's actually crucial to take Styles out too with that AWP through the smoke headshot. Not an ideal way to start your day.
No, not at all. Well, Ake's got aggression towards tunnels. There's so much information gained as well. They can go for a bit of a hard focus now over towards A. The rotation you see is starting to be called. Molotov coming in. There will be a fight momentarily in towards mid. The question is who will come out on top. It's that of Surreal. Danny gets caught in transition, and that's unfortunate. Leaving things very tough for the CT side, and they are being picked apart one by one. It's all down to Casanito to try and lock out this A site. Unable to do so, and Ake in a rotation. It's more likely just a save call now.
Yeah, almost spots ahead there. Not a bad little recovery from Endpoint, I'll be honest. That's a really nice round. Bearing in mind how these last few have gone. Coming in with some more confidence. Having what is almost a flawless round. They've kept 4 players alive. I know they want to get rid of this orc on the CT side, but don't undo all the work that you've done. They don't have a lot of money behind them. In fact, they've got hardly anything. They need to be very careful with their finances. It's very important not to throw these weapons away.
Yeah, Ike does need to be careful. There's a bit of an extension coming in. I don't think he'll be flanked in a problematic sense. He does just need to be careful of tunnels, realistically speaking. But no, smoke in favour. I guess at Endpoint it would be a little bit overzealous of them to try and aggressively hunt. Granted, it is an AWP, but Blue Jays will be able to buy one even if it fell anyway, so it wouldn't really be in the world. There's that, of course, that skin baron code. Quickly, take a picture, write it down, get on it. €2 off. Bit of a voucher there.
97. I can't even read it before it goes.
Yeah, you got to be quick. They don't make that one easy. You got to be on it. And that's why you got to keep your eyes on the stream at all times. 5-4 is where we start off. It's a beautiful shot there from AK. Crucial. Just gets caught napping. And kicks out one more to his tally before he's shredded out by Surreal. There's so much damage with that Molotov as well. I mean, Boros, slither of health. Same situation with Surreal. It's a perfect start for Blue Jays.
It feels like neither team have been able to get any momentum here in this second map. On Mirage, for sure, Endpoint were able to really get the ball rolling in that first half. They went 5-1 up. And then from that point forward, Blue Jays kind of took that baton, started taking rounds after rounds and really sort of feeling it. In this one, neither team have been able to establish an economy. Neither team have been able to really string more than 2 rounds together. It's just been back and forth the entire time. Endpoint had a super convincing round in the last. Right here, they're looking pretty shaky once again. They're a man down. They've taken a lot of damage. I like the initiative for the run boost on Boros. Of course, he's got that AWP. He's the lowest HP man on the team right now. 8 kids on the angle. And I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get across here. Smoke goes down. I think Blue Jays realise that the A site's now under siege.
Just trying to utilise small bits of gaps here. Only given as we speak. A smoke in towards Gandalf at least keeps AK in contention. Molotov on towards the site too. They're holding for the flank going to come in, but it's just that full rotation in towards long. Open towards Carl. Boros good for one. We kind of mentioned what he can do, but the nade might be able to trade him out. Yes, it will. Brilliant use of the utility coming in. That's Casanito, still ever so cautious, and that is not brilliant use of the utility in the polar opposite sense. Molotov, flashing Molotov himself out of CT. Ake is still alive in towards Gandalf, but he's in a real dicey spot. He has to wait for these rotations to come through from range as well. Mighty Max good for one, Surreal in for the other 2, and the last man, that of Danny, they know exactly where he's coming from. What a cleanup from Endpoint, and what a round.
Huge from Mighty Max towards the end there, and I mean, I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but I feel like Danny's Molotov really needed to connect there. Throwing it from that CT spawn, if it lands on site, it delays that plant an extra couple of seconds. It gives the AWP in Gandalf a chance to maybe go for another peek and find another kill. Instead, they're able to tap in those digits and take those gunfights with ease. 5-5, Endpoint somehow recover a round that I thought was a lost cause. And now Blue Jays back down to an eco. Endpoint with an opportunity to take the lead here. With some info, at the very least.
He'll take that. And of course, slow buy for Blue Jays. looking like a bit of a gamble, a somewhat gamble stack over towards B. They got 2 players in towards the aggressive long position. And Nurse holding, waiting for them. Does spot them, in fact, trying to catch them in transition. Needs to be careful not to be caught overextending as well. Bomb in hand, that could have been a dicey spot if he went down. Sriel in towards upper tunnels. Will spot out one. Where just did they spot him?
Or us. A lot of damage dealt. In the meantime, his teammates are all just bombing up short, so he's just kind of like the clean-up crew. He's been focused on finding the kills, but oh my goodness, he's looking the wrong way. Well, they've lost an AK. I think this will be a safe with that AK.
Oh, for sure, surely, right? I mean, that AK makes such a difference. Nerds are just hunting these eco frags. Casanita all alone now. 1 versus 4, and yeah, surely from this situation, just keep on what you got. You know, there's a football there. Keep yourself occupied. Just do what you can to keep that ticking across, because at the very, it's sort of a necessity as well. If you look over towards how Blue Jays' economy is, we're going to mention how big of a factor that's been in terms of momentum, and both of these two sides really struggling to gain control of the momentum itself. But he's just going to save that AK as best he can. No real hunt to come forward from Endpoint, I don't think, because I mean they shouldn't. They it would be very overzealous once again. Hello.
You can hear us.
Staring contest.
Yeah. Well, you can see that. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. When you kind of hop over to the player cams, I do love the player cams. It gives you a bit of an insight of kind of how some of these players play and how they react to certain rounds and whatnot. You saw some smiles on some of the faces of Endpoint in the early stages of Mirage. Right now, going back and forth, they seem pretty laser focused. Crucial. Dropping into Suicide, trying to go for this opening pick. He's not going to spot anybody though, just yet. The flash goes as one to the left, but doesn't connect the shot. Will instead bombarded with things going nicely for Blue.
Oh, Casanita though, good for one himself, keeping that one advantage in favour of the Blue Jays side. Now, of course, in towards mid, they've snuck their way forward. Will they clear the close angle? No, they don't. Styles good for one. See where the second is the question. Hot flash is brilliant. Doesn't matter though. Crucial still delivers on somewhat of a crucial shot as they go for the split over towards B. And Danny's very isolated there. He's got upper tunnels control, but the site itself is somewhat open.
Flash peaks a little too early, and Danny, he's going to fall there as well. This was such a good start for Blue Jays, and it's starting to crumble. On health, I'm not sure about that peak, I'll be honest. Super exposed, no control of tunnels means that he was always just going to get backstabbed in that scenario, and it all falls onto Crucial's shoulders. 2v1, AK in hand, tucked behind the door. Blue Jays have got, well, plenty of time, but they don't have a kit. They do need to speed this up. Crucial goes for the wide swing, and just like that, he finds both heads. That was horribly played from Blue Jays. I really don't know what their plan was.
Oh, yeah, that was really, really not hard to make a retake work in their favour, especially when you think, you know, early in towards this entirety of that round, they had that man advantage from the get-go. All they had to do was play the trade game, play for the swings coming in. Okay, granted, you know, the B side of Dust 2, statistically speaking, one of, if not the hardest side to retake, but yeah, it was really not well played. A double swing coming in, if one falls, instant trade coming in, perfectly played. But no, I mean, they just go one by one and both just fall one by one. They give away such an easy round and an easy retake, which had all the potential to make this a 6-6 affair. But no, 7-5. And a brilliant start. Surreal finds a double. Kicksan gets punished into a short. And oh, it's just so easy for the Endpoint side. Now, Danny all alone, they know exactly where he plays. He's the B-rotate player, so there's more or less he's that comfortable cleanup. They'll go over towards A. They might even go hunting. He's only got a deagle, so it's not really too much of a problem. Down he falls. Boris wants the kills on the board, and he finds them. 8-5, at the very least. Going into the penultimate round, they've won out the half. A beautiful kind of a surge coming forward now from the Endpoint side. 5 consecutive rounds on the board, and this year, kind of run of momentum from them has been stunning. You know, speaking of beautiful, of course, mention our lovely partners out of Extra Fire once again. These beautiful headphones we had on in the pre-game segment. You can go check them out. Winter 10 to get 10% off everything they got on the website. Not just headphones. They got the whole lot. Mice, spongies, mouse mats. Go check them out. I'm fan. Yeah, true.
For us. In the flick, and he double dips. Always a mistake. A greedy AWP, but crucial. He says, all right, I'll take that. Let me have a go. Pops him right through the smoke. 4v4. Endpoint are actually in a really strong position right now. You go back a couple of rounds, I'd say this is definitely going to be an 8.5. Now they've got the chance to hit double digits here. They can overturn this one. Right now they're having some troubles.
Sanito holding from an open angle on towards short, just trying to be in that off angle, just peeking above the smoke. As one's dropped in, he's waiting for the flash, avoids it first perfectly, could be able to line them up. Good for the first, damage on towards the second, but the kill not collected. Player towards Goose, spotted out and punished by Mighty Max. He jumps towards CT, and a brilliant aggression from him. Now holding gap in the smoke left side, punishes for the first, only for one as Danny brings it back to a 1 versus 1. Both players low on HP, and it's a question of just who spots who.
Oh. There we
brilliant.
go. Alrighty. Important round. Very important round for the Blue Jays to take there. Otherwise, it would probably be 10-5.
Yeah, agreed. I think that was kind of it's a necessary round in terms of cutting off this consistency, what we've seen from Endpoint. On the T side as well, sometimes you see certain sides really struggle. On the T side it does too, because it leaves at times very open. It's very easy to get isolated in some of the fights. But no, I mean, I think Endpoint have done a really stellar job so far. They already won at the half. Granted, again, it's looking like we might get that even showing at the half, similar towards how map number 1 was. But I'm liking the way Endpoint are playing it. And if this consistency carries on towards the CT side, I think they should be able to push us towards Vertigo.
Potentially so. We'll see. Endpoint slightly favour that CT side. Big hit through the door, though. Not a bad start here for round number 15. Both teams with cash in the bank. As I say, if Crucial would have clutched out that 1v1 in the last round, Blue Jays would have no money right now. Endpoint would be on the cusp of 10. That's the need to short. We've seen him in that position several times, and Boros anticipates it.
This though, Styles, good for 1. Threaded out quickly by Boros. Back to 3 versus 3. Damage on towards A-Kick could be problematic, but, you know, abiding by Bogdan's law, AWP in hand. Boros from behind, catches A-Kick in transition. Now it's a Famas on an M4 A1S to deny Endpoint, finding a 9th here in the final round of the half. And Danny, that B rotates. Looking like he's not going to be tested there. Slinking over towards A, and now they definitely go. Kicks and falls. They know Danny's the B player. They should just send it all the way towards A. They know he won't be present at all. In a 1 versus 3 situation, it's looking unlosable for Endpoint. But I say this, we have seen number 4 at times.
As soon as Kickstand drops there, it's kind of all over. Danny on a super, super long rotation. I mean, there's nothing to lose. He's obviously going to go for this as the last round of the half. But I really don't see this happening. I'll be perfectly honest. Nats has just put himself in a really strong position as well. Not an angle that you often clear when you're coming out along this. So many corners. And Nats, whilst it's a little bit messy, he does eventually find the kill. 9-6. Endpoint just narrowly take the lead here going into the first half. And Blue Jays could really do with a pistol. I think if Blue Jays win this T-side pistol round, they're kind of back in the game. If they lose it, they're potentially in some trouble.
I think exactly that. I mean, a pistol here from Endpoint to get double digits already, and of course kickstart that momentum once again. And they're such a momentum-heavy side, aren't they? So if a pistol's collected here, the full buy comes forward, or somewhat full buy going forward. Of course, the big thing is, well, denying a bomb plant for Blue Jays. They should be able to more or less net themselves quite a notable lead, quite a good amount of rounds in that sort of buffer period where I think realistically, Blue Jays would really struggle to get back into it. If they go 4-5 rounds down, it more or less will be done. Blue Jays sending in towards double doors, though. Early control coming forward. And it's looking like they're setting up for a B split here. 2 players over towards the B side. That's Surreal holding from range. And supported by Crucial. What can they find? Dink coming in as well. They're flooding on towards the site. And that's a brilliant take. Casnito, Danny, one apiece. And what a pistol round.
Yeah, just like that. I mean, I said they needed the pistol round, and I think they realised it too. They had very heavy weight on their shoulders right now. Endpoint, I mean, there's nothing to lose. They're going to have a crack at this. The B site, notoriously difficult to break, but on a pistol round, 2 men down. Let's see if they can hit their shot. Smoke going over the top. That's going to land into tunnels. That's going to isolate damage. Over the top might do some damage to CT. Not having the success that they needed. Boros, the only man that's going to find a kill. And Blue Jays actually have a fantastic pistol round.
That was really well played. I mean, it's kind of sometimes when you don't have too much of a formulated idea, that aggression sort of overwhelming a certain side. It's actually the B side, which is very, very hard to retake. They'll know all too well from that previous half. Kind of themselves, they send it. It's, you know, a whole W play, very small amounts of utility, and just kind of rely on the trade. They don't even need it. Castanito and Danny found the opening a piece, even at range as well. The Glock coming out on top, and of course now a significantly better buy for them. Just a scout coming out for Endpoint, upgraded pistols, small amount of utility, but shouldn't be too problematic.
Or Blue Jays. Should be a comfortable round for them, as you say. You just need to make sure they don't fall victim to these deagles. I always enjoy watching these kind of half-buy rounds at this kind of caliber. You know, at like tier 1 level, it often doesn't go wrong. When you're watching it at any kind of lower level, you're kind of always guaranteed that the rifles come out on top. But
yeah,
there are so many sort of super talented aimers at this kind of tier of CS. These deagle rounds can always go the other way. Out over the top. Oh, I love that. Crucial. What an opening.
He's looking for another two. Finds a tag. Nearly a second, in fact. Smith shot this time. Needs to be connecting on these, but he finds yet another. A-kit though. Galil in hand. Good for one. Trying to clear the site. Boris sitting in the box. Will he be spotted? Yes, he will. Full blind. Trade's coming in though. Styles all alone. And this is becoming dicey. It's back and forth affair. And now in a 1 versus 1. Somehow, some way, the pistols are going to come out on top. And Mighty Max rips off Styles' head. Blue Jays have choked that round.
I'm going to be honest. That round was horrible. That was a horrible
I hated
round.
watching that.
Yeah. I mean, Crucial's over the top of the smoke. They're just completely ignoring him. He's allowed to fire off like 7, 8 shots there before they finally kill him. I love the initiative on the initial peak, but the fact that they let him get away with just continuing to rattle off shots there is unbelievable. Mighty Max's 1 league at the end's unreal. I have no idea how he's managed to hit that, but yeah, Endpoint maintaining this lead, snatching away a round that rightfully wasn't theirs at all. And just as I said at the start, rounds like that at this tier of CS can always go either way.
You predicted it. I'm gonna have to hold my hands up. I kind of said it should be an easy kind of closeout, and oh, I was so wrong. I mean, I do have to say the Blue Jays played that so poorly. As we mentioned, they kind of just allowed the scout to just keep peppering them down. And the pistols in close range was so comfortable. Speaking of, A-kit now all alone. 1 versus 3, and against these rifles. Grenade in his face. Oh, you hate to see it, Boros. Loving it.
His teammate
he lets the real to go down. You know, he's getting cooked in the team speak right now, but he gets the knife. So longevity in terms of the economy at the very least. 11 rounds on the board for the Endpoint side of the 4-round buffer once again. Of course, while we do have this slight break, you see the Skin Baron code up there in the screens. Quickly go and use it. €2 off, may I say, and of course we'll once again mention our partners that are stream cards. You can see them on the extension on the right hand side. It's a card game based around the current round. You can play alongside us, earning points, all of that good stuff. Go and check out.
Down to a fully go Endpoint. It really to the top as Crucial doubles down with the AWP shots, knows that at that kind of range the Glock just can't do damage. You have to build date. Oh, doesn't see that. Brings him up the USP, and just like that, a flawless round. By definition, not a single point of damage taken, no deaths, no anything like that. Endpoint are going to keep that money going. But they are now on a bit of a bonus. A Galil still in play for Mighty Max, Surreal on that MP9. Definitely a chance here for Blue Jays to wriggle back into this.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, there definitely still is. I mean, the only problem for me is that 5 rounds seems it's such a stark deficit, and of course, as you mentioned, the Endpoint, the kind of run of momentum that they're in, it's becoming for me a question of kind of not when, but if Blue Jays can get back into this. Kind of, are they leaving things just a little bit too late? We're already up to round number 20, and we're 4 rounds off the order loose of 16. Attack damage done. It will just fall back over towards B. He doesn't really want to take that fight. Too right. Crucial does and pays the price for it.
Yeah, Blue Jays are definitely in a position where they can't really afford to make mistakes. We've had a couple, for sure. Those can be shrugged off for now, as long as they can bring it back. But yeah, they're at a point where as soon as they kind of slip up one of these buy rounds, Endpoint then put themselves onto 13. Blue Jays won't have any cash going into the next, and before you know it, Endpoint are 1 away from that point. Big double. That's worth its weight in gold, and Endpoint surely just have to save now.
This
Oh, no.
situation.
I mean, they're on A anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, you know, in this situation, they're already here. May as well take a bit of a fight. Styles nearly finding one. They know exactly where Boris is posted up towards. Good for the first. Quick trade coming in. Endpoint. All their rifles dropped in that one. I mean, that was a much more clinical round from the Blue Jays side. They were a bit more cutthroat. We look back towards those Pinnacle odds. They have been back and forth. I mean, coming into Dust 2, very much in favor of the Blue Jays. Completely flipped now, back in favor of Endpoint. Of course, if you believe that there's still a chance, go and check out our lovely partners like Pinnacle, tabs.gg/winter. Use code winter22 for all your betting needs.
4 rounds separate these two sides, and Endpoint 4 rounds away from the finish line, so they're kind of halfway there. Blue Jays right now, though, with the AKs behind them. Really, really slow stuff. I mean, Casanito's just going to stay tucked behind long pretty much this entire round. He's going to let his teammates contact over towards B and mid and hope for some aggression, hope that he can catch someone off guard. And also, he's just that kind of insurance policy to make sure that there are no flanks going on. It means that his teammates don't have to worry about that one at all. A minute on this clock already, though, and it feels like Blue Jays haven't really gained a lot of control, haven't really gained much out of this one. And then he's going to move.
Up and away. Danny Styles. Quick trade coming through. The man advantage kept for the Blue Jays side, and the open hands are crucial. Needs to step up huge here. Potential for the flank to come in. Spotting into a short. Good for the first. Look at the reposition for a second. Where kicks and punishes. Now they move the way forward. Nerds has to be the difference maker. But actually going to make the smart decision to wait for the rotation to come in and play this as a double stack. 2 versus 3 situation. Banking off the back of trades is the way to play it. But actually, no, they're just going to go for the save call.
Well, another much-needed round from Blue Jays. I was worried that they'd kind of pulled the trigger a little bit too late there. Maybe not too late. I mean, there was still a minute on the clock. It's halfway. But I mean more on the basis that they'd spent the first minute of the round just not really doing a whole lot, waiting for some kind of Endpoint aggression that wasn't going to come. And frankly, Endpoint haven't really got aggressive at all. This game, we've seen a couple of little stabs from Boros here and there, where he's maybe tried to push towards doors or tried to get into B tunnels or something like that, but that's normally later in the round. Endpoint are one of these teams that just kind of play like a very, very passive CT side. You don't see anything too crazy, unless they're on like a half buy or something like that. We might see something now, though. To be honest, they've just saved 2 rifles, but no one's got the money to buy around them. So either we see a full eco around these 2 rifles, which means bodyguard mode, or a force buy, and it's going to be the former.
Yeah, I think the question for me as well is whether Blue Jays have it in them to kind of turn this one back around. Of course, granted, not the greatest economic situation over towards Endpoint. You kind of would expect them to come out on top. I say that, you know, we have seen the ecos go the other way before, but realistically speaking, it should go one way, or so I say. No, it's good for one. Not traded. Make it a second. Styles will fall.
But either way, Casanito recovers it. A 3k all on his shoulders. He's 26-12 right now. The man's going crazy.
Insane, isn't it? I mean, what a performance from him so far. Kind of a real shining light, but he always has been. We sung his praises coming in towards the series, and for good reason. Him and Boros were the 2 ones to keep an eye on. Boros has been a little bit quiet, granted. Coming into it, it's been more the story of Crucial. But yeah, 26-12. What a performance for Casanito. Double digits as well for Blue Jays. Only 2 rounds behind. Room to work with in this situation as Nurse goes aggressive down towards mid, trying to kind of catch these players in transition over towards long, and I think he might be able to do so.
Oh man, look at this positioning. Is Danny aware?
I don't know. I don't think they are. Oh, he could cause so many problems here. You could even, to a degree, just play trigger discipline, wait for it. No way Danny clears this. He turns, though, and Nert's forced to fire, may I say, giving away the ruse. But aggression towards mid, now he goes all the information. They can just gamble backward towards A because they know they're going there.
Crucial. Pushing through this smoke. Places the shadow, but kicked out. To the trigger, and oh my goodness, Blue Jays are overwhelming right now. If he is, he doesn't get through.
Boris is tagged as well. That's unfortunate. 90 points of HP, trying to deny that bomb going to go down, but so far not being given the room to work with. Gets a dink. But Nert, he's only good for one. That's really an unfortunate situation for them. Endpoint started off so well, and all the information knew exactly where Blue Jays were going. Nert finds the opening kill, so they got the man advantage. But no, overwhelming on the site. I mean, we sort of spoke about Endpoint's passive CT side, and because of how they give up a lot of map control, but kind of try and lock out those crossfires on the site. And that's a kind of a prime example of where it doesn't really work out. They get overwhelmed, early bits of utility, and they really struggle to get a grasp of that execute.
Look at the Endpoint economy now as well. Okay, they'll have money to buy into the next. It looks like it's going to be 12. 12. There's a lot of damage. Kills for Styles. Oh, I thought he'd find both. No, instead, Eagle actually rattles his head.
Bless you.
Thanks. I actually muted my mic on stream, so nobody else heard that, but I appreciate the bless you.
You know, my mother taught me manners, and only not towards Nerds. He gets caught off guard. Casanito, all four to remain alive for Endpoint, and with just a pixel coming in, an airburst Molotov as well. That's unfortunate. Just a pixel too short, that one. From behind, though. I mean, he is being such a standout. 30 kills he's on. 30 and 13. I mean, what a stunning performance on Dust 2. And of course, we look back towards the pre-game from us. We were kind of saying it's a punish pick from the Endpoint going for Dust 2 against Blue Jays because map he's not too comfortable with. They don't play too often on it. And Casanito, this is looking like his territory. I mean, he has been absolutely stunning so far. I mean, so far so good. And of course, if you had him in your World of Esports fantasy team, you'd be doing so well. Go check them out if you want to play alongside us. Smith shot from Kicksun. All we traded once again back over towards A-Kit now as this game is tied at 12 apiece.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking really strong. Casanito, 30 kills. No one on his team's even close.
It's crazy.
Second closest is like 16. He's literally doubling the impact of anyone else. He's acting as two players right now. So real up close to the doors, does hear all this information, but doesn't want to show himself. They're already a man down. Mighty Max is really taking a huge gamble, aggressing up short like this. The trades are in, and there you go. Brings back numbers. Massive play from Mighty Max, but it has left B exposed.
Towards the B side they go. Surreal needs to deny this bomb going down. The Orchard spotted in towards Car. A shot as well. Just try and sneak their way through the smoke. A flash as well to let them out. Will they be able to find the kills? No, they don't. Good for one, Surreal. Make that a second. And it's all down to A-Kit. In a tough 1 versus 2 situation.
Oh, massive kill. A-Kit realizes just how important this round is. 1v1 dancing behind the boxes. And Mighty Max gets it done. He doesn't falter in those situations. Cool, calm, collected. And Blue Jays, once they've still got cash behind them, that would have been a big round for them to take.
That was the round that was a necessity, I think it's safe to say, for the Blue Jays in terms of really kind of punishing Endpoint. Get them there, leaves them with a pretty tough economic situation looking forward, which granted it still is, but that could have been the one to give them that room to work with. But now, unfortunate. I mean, now look what we see. Oh, it's a regression. Ake is so quick. Crucial. Overextending, pays the price for it. And the AWP doesn't find that second. It's real. Just going to post up in front. I want to pick up the AWP himself. We know he's a versatile player. Can utilize it, but takes a nade while doing so.
Max. Still going big. A second headshot might be what's needed. But he can't connect it. Blue Jays just snatch it right back. It's the common theme of this game throughout. Round after round, going back and forth. Surreal. really do the same as thought right now. I'm very surprised he's even entertaining the idea of trying to go for a peek right here. It's a 3 versus 1 grenade. Oh, it doesn't do as much damage as I thought. Landed right next to him. And there we go. Surreal realizes he really just needs to back off here.
Yeah, in this situation, I mean, keeping that orb ticking across is so important. The question is really, I guess tagged as well. It would be worth going hunting. I mean, you look at the Blue Jays economy, it's not the greatest, but they know that orb for Endpoint is going to be the only positivity they're going to bring in towards this next round. No economy for them. It was the full investment into this round. Going for the hunt here, I think, is definitely worth it. Even if you lose the remaining 2 players. Yes, okay, they don't have a great economy, but a bomb plant going down, kills on the board, they will be able to buy nonetheless. Try to deny that orb for Endpoint, though. That would be their last resort. We'll keep ticking across, however. That's been a goal. It's flipped once again. Back over to the 1.48 in favor of Blue Jays. And you've got to say, kind of deservedly, since coming on towards their T side, and since Casanito's become an unstoppable force, I mean, Blue Jays looked really, really good. Another round on the board for them. They found a real kind of good amount of consistency. And again, a real tough buy for Endpoint.
Yeah, I think tough's probably an understatement. Just the pistols crucial with that AWP that was carried across from the last. They have got money to invest in the next if Blue Jays take it, but they'll be on 14. I'll be honest, every single round that's kind of gone Blue Jays' way so far here on Dust 2, I've felt like it has just been building up towards Endpoint probably going to take it. We probably end up. They've actually got a very strong chance of taking this in too. I just never expected it. At the start of this series, I was saying it's probably going to be an Endpoint 2-0. But if Blue Jays turn up, they could take it 2-1. Right now, they're about to prove me and everybody else wrong.
And a 2-0 in favor of Blue Jays is never a scoreline that I would have predicted. I mean, we said with how even these two sides are on paper, it's potential to go either way. The kind of favourites were Endpoint, especially when you look towards the odds and those kind of things. But we're looking at in a good standing. But no, I mean, Blue Jays are playing really well since coming in towards Dust 2, especially on this T side. Stepped up huge. Now 14 rounds, 2 away from the all-elusive 16. And the biggest thing, as we've already mentioned, is that consistency for Endpoint. They've kind of been stuck in this brutal cycle where it's like full buy-in, then lose a round, back to a double eco situation, and rinse and repeat. Now we're going to see the full buy come forward. Potentially a double up setup going to be picked up here. It's not an easy situation for them to be in.
$14-13. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit.
All good.
Yeah, I mean, this is starting to get scary here for Endpoint. This is a must-win round. If they lose it, they've got no money. Blue Jays will be on that point. We could go to another overtime. I really wouldn't be surprised. Excellent. On the corner, top of the arm, not quick enough in the smokes. But he knew he had to fire off the shot there. Otherwise, his sightline was going to be lost. Crucial. Towards short. No one taking control there. Instead, it's Casanito actually over towards doors. He's just looking crisp right now.
Yes, it's just been a pleasure to watch. This Casanito versus Crucial battle has been quite good. I mean, Casanito, for the most part, winning out in our hearts. He has been unstoppable, but takes a nade to the face. 54 HP is where he's going to sit on for the rest of this round, but you still wouldn't count him out in a lot of those gunfights.
Just so slow. Nobody wants to be the one to make the first move. As soon as you try and make the first move, maybe the CT is getting a little bit aggressive. The entry trying to find a kill. You end up losing it. Costs so much at this stage of the game. Kicks out. Oh my goodness. What an unbelievable headshot. It's opened up the door on B. Now they can try and push through mid. Surreal's been absolutely demolished. And Blue Jays look like they might actually be able to take this one. They're taking the B site with a 2-man advantage, and Endpoint have no choice but to save.
Have to. In this situation, Endpoint, it's a fine line. 15 collected by the Blue Jays side at the very least, but would they even be given the chance to do so? They walk straight towards Casanito, looking for the second missed shot of the AWP as well, and he punishes brilliantly. 34 kills this man is on. This beast. As Blue Jays, 1 round away from a 2-0 here. And, you know, again, coming into this game, going into the series, we were saying, right, you know, first round of playoffs, Blue Jays done really well to get here, but Endpoint, on paper the better side, and it's not been the case in the server, especially on Dust 2. I mean, what a performance on T side, and especially that of Casamito.
Oh my goodness, just ran insult to injury. The auto sniper's crucial. Just stood and taken it. What on earth? And knowing that the auto spam's coming in, it's going to be a hard beat hit. They know that they're towards the side of things. Surreal would be dropped in the smoke. But a man disadvantage, the beat. Probably the hardest site to retake in the whole game. And they're just being spammed away further. Oh my. Endpoint. I think they know they're down and out of this one.
I do. I think they're sort of starting to falter quite heavily now. It's not the easiest situation for them. The question is now, what do they want to do instead? How do they make this retake work? 3 versus 4. The bomb down, of course, that smoke replanted in towards that over the door, but running through the smoke. Flashbang's coming over. It's all down to one man. He's unable to convert it. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen. A 2-0. Never, ever would have expected that sort of results. Granted, we said Blue Jays had the possibility to pull off an upset, potentially a 2-1, but, you know, it would take a lot to do so. What a performance from them. Stunning, stunning stuff. And for Endpoint, I think they just didn't turn up on the day.
I actually don't believe it. I actually can't believe it. That's unbelievable. Blue Jays, what a result. I mean, if you're a North Macedonian Counter-Strike fan, you're happy right now. I can't believe they've taken